choosing. So tell me what you gonna do. Standing on the edge, you got superpower. Standing on the edge, you promise for tomorrow. Yeah, it's all the shifting tides and sinking stones. So I let my people know, yeah, it's gonna be alright. Gonna be alright.
Hair Camp. So glad you guys are here today. This is our digital bonfire for 2023. What's up? My name is Sam Hills, and I'm the camp director here at Hair Camp. And man, it feels good to be on here today. Hanging out with y'all, hanging out with some of our favorite educators that are part of the Hair Camp crew, and hopefully giving you guys a taste of what we do as a brand, as an experience, and as a camp, because what we love to do is we love to take hair and connect you with it in a new and exciting way. This is our third annual bonfire. It's so fun because what this is this is a day just to kind of get a taste of who we are. We've got a bunch of fun and amazing stuff planned for you today. We've got some of our educators coming on. So if you've got a comfy spot on the couch, we want you to grab your cup. We want you to get your blanket, curl up, and hang out with us for the next little bit, because we've got an afternoon planned for you. That's right. My name is Sam Hills. I am the camp director here at Hair Camp, and I am a stylist and salon owner here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hair Camp was founded in 2019, and it was this mission and dream to take hairstylists and connect them with a deeper purpose and a deeper meaning to their work. And so that's what we do. We invite adults to come out to Camp Joy, which is where we host Hair Camp, and hang out for the weekend and learn hands-on education, learn how to do hair better, learn how to connect with yourself creatively, maybe even a little emotionally, and try to figure out this thing that we're all working towards, right? Making this world a more beautiful place, one client at a time. And so we're excited today because what we're going to do over the next couple hours is hang out with some of our favorite people, some of our favorite educators here. We've got a killer lineup planned for you today. People like Kyle Huntsberry from Milk Honey Hair. We've got Jamie Dana on here. We've got Andy Judd. We've got Meg Hair from the Northeast. We've got all kinds of fun people joining us today. So make sure that you stay tuned, hang out. We've got everything from education to inspiration, but it's a chance to hear from each one of our educators, each one of the people that are doing super cool stuff. I wanted to introduce you to my first friend and a wonderful human being, somebody who I adore and I am inspired by because of the consistency of who she is and how she puts herself and her brand out into the world. Our first guest today is Jamie Dana. Jamie Dana. We met her last year. We've actually known each other for a long time, but last year she got a chance to come to Hair Camp for her first time and hang out with us. This next year, Jamie is going to be on stage with me and the Hair Camp crew hosting for the weekend. We're so excited that she's joining us, and we're so excited that she's here today. So let's get her on here right now and say, hey.
Hey,
Jamie!
hey! Oh my gosh, I am so stoked to be here. Stoked to be part of Hair Camp 2023. Like,
good
this is crazy.
to see your face. My goodness,
so good
hello.
to see you too.
How are you?
I am doing good. It is early for me. It's 10 a.m.
Yes.
here in California, and I was up a little late last night. So it's a little early for me, but I'm here.
We'll take what we can get. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you.
Welcome. Hey, listen, we want an update. What's been going on with you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I was like thinking about it. I every year I do my like yearly review of last year and everything that's happened. A lot has happened since Hair Camp last year, but one of the big things that's happened is I actually launched a collaboration collection with Framar. We did a golden hour collection. Some of you may have seen that. We did a 4-part documentary series leading up to the launch, like just documenting everything that goes into creating a collection with frame art, which was super cool. I've done a lot of online education, a lot of classes, but ultimately I've done a lot of like personal stuff, which is super cool. I've gotten to travel a lot this year, which is so fun. And I kind of took a little step back from the business, which was super cool too. So yeah, lots has happened since I've seen you last.
I mean, that's what it takes to operate at your top in this industry, right? With this business, is that if you're not recognizing that yourself and sort of the personal drive it takes for that, then it's really important that you work on those things, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I think one of the cool things that's actually being talked about in our industry more is the importance of putting yourself first and the importance of rest and the importance of having things outside of behind the chair or behind the business and doing things for yourself, which is so cool and something that I'll probably be touching on a little bit in hair camp because we got
Well,
some fun moments that I get to share things. So
take,
yes.
take us there. I can't wait. Hey, so this frame art partnership that you did, this was a massive success. I know, talking to a lot of our community and the people that are involved with hair camp, they were absolutely stoked that you created
Yay.
this collection.
Yeah.
Um, talk to us a little bit about the origin of this collection, why it started, why you made it, and I know that it actually sold out, right? It was one of their biggest successes they've had as a product launch to date, right?
Yeah, their biggest launch they've ever had internally, which to me was like a huge win because I'm a numbers person and data person. So like for me to have the biggest launch that they've ever had was like the biggest win we could have ever had. But the reason why I created the collection or why I even approached Framar about it in the first place was I was like, there's not a lot of hair tools for us as an industry that are cute, that are like very aesthetic, right? We got the bright pink hairbrushes, we've got the silver foils, and Framar's done a great job of really bringing in creativity into the space when it comes to like creative hair tools. But there wasn't anything that felt like me, that felt like the soft neutral colors, that felt like beautiful pastels. And so I was like, we need to create a collection like this. And so I pitched them the idea of not only creating a collection of something that's never been done before, a little bit more high-end luxury tools, but to document the process. Like this has never been done before in the hair industry, of documenting the process of creating a tool or a product line from scratch. And so we literally documented the whole thing. It's over on my YouTube channel if you guys want to see what goes into actually creating it. It was so fun to create that and just really tell the story of all the ins and outs of a lot of trial and error that goes into that. And truly, we just wanted to bring the hairdresser into the vision of it and to really show you the behind the scenes of it and help you feel like you were part of the process. So it was a super fun project and really grateful I could be a part of it.
I mean, two things that stand out for me is one, getting to use tools like that every day. You take them for granted. What it takes to get from like concept to reality.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So thanks for taking us behind the scenes. That was really cool to just see start to finish how you build it and the creative process and really what it takes to pull something like that off. And also, must we not forget that as creatives and people that are putting like creative, beautiful things in the world, like the tools we use, like, and the spaces we're in, why not like let those things be super beautiful, inspiring. So thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Creating an amazing line. It's awesome.
And that's how I felt too. I was like, I want to use things that feel like me, that give that experience to my clients as well,
Right.
And so that was like a huge part of the vision for it.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome. Well, good job with that.
Okay,
so you were at hair camp last year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First time ever.
Yes.
I've had the fortunate pleasure of being your friend, and it was great to finally be friends in person. That's the crazy thing about this digital world is that like there's these forms of connection, but to really get to connect in person, super special. So give us like a recap on your hair camp experience. I'd love to hear about it.
Okay, so it's funny because I went into hair camp, obviously being an educator and like coming in. And a lot of times when I come to speak at either different events or whatever, like I'm there, I'm working, right? Like I'm there to teach, I'm there to do my job, I'm there to connect with everybody. And what the biggest thing that happened to me at hair camp was I was not expecting to really be poured back into. Usually I'm pouring out the whole weekend. I usually leave super tired at events like this. And I walked away with just so much of my cup being filled, which was insane and so cool. And I think one of the really cool things that you guys have created with hair camp is this sense of community, of bringing together like-minded people. And I think that there's something so special about that every single person that I interacted with was like a genuinely like awesome person. And that is rare, right? Like to have a group of people that large be so rad and so cool was just amazing. And I want to say like, the hair campers themselves were just so fun, and being in the classes with them and like getting to interact with the campers was just something that I haven't really experienced at a lot of things that I get to teach at. It was something really special. And for me, I walked away, honestly, that really helped launch a lot of things that I did last year. A lot of changes that I made in my own personal business were because I was at hair camp. And I told you this like privately, but I was like, honestly, hair camp was something that I absolutely needed in this last year. And yeah, I just feel like I got poured into so much. And I don't know, there's like something magical that happened. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like the late night sitting around the campfire, doing karaoke with everybody, or just being together with other hairdressers, other community members was just something so special. And I think over the last couple of years, we've lost that. So just to be back in person with people was like insane. It was so good.
I mean, it's something that I take for granted all the time, which is if I don't create space for myself to surround myself around people that are wanting the same things that I want, like they want more for themselves, like they want to go after big, like, goals or dreams. That's the magic of showing up that weekend, is that like, if you surround yourself around people with that sort of like mentality, and you're all just sort of like after the same thing and then rooting each other on, it's so powerful. Like, it's amazing that, to me, you're this educator that has achieved so much success, and yet you can come to an experience like hair camp and really be changed by it. Honestly, it's funny because it's the same thing for me. I'm behind the curtain. I'm putting it on. Like, our team is working hard. And then I like get to the end of the weekend. I'm like, I'm a different person because of this weekend. So like, yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the things that makes it magic, is that like, it's a situation where you're stretched and you're grown, but it's also a situation where like you walk away from being stretched and grown a different person, and maybe a better or more full or more clear person. So, okay. Hey, listen, 2023, it's coming up. Right.
Yes.
You sort of sit at 30,000 feet for our industry. You sort of see things for industry. I want to know, what do we need to be working on this year, right, to make 2023 a good year? There's a lot of things floating around. Like, it's like, we've got a recession coming up, or maybe folks aren't as busy. It's January, y'all. Like, January's a tough month, for salons and stylists. So give us 2023 tips. Give us about a minute, 2 minutes on just what you think we need to be working on this year.
Cool. Yeah. So it's funny because I actually have really been thinking about this a lot lately. And it's funny how, like, when I start to teach something, it's like, it's something that I probably need to learn, but also something that's like, it keeps coming up for a reason. And I think one of the big things that we're going to see kind of us as an industry focusing in on is finances. Now, I know that sounds like, why would we want to focus on that? That sounds so boring. Math, numbers. Like, most people, I think, at least myself back in the day, was like, finances, like, like I make money, but I don't know what happens to it. Or like I make enough money, like I get by, like the rent's paid, but like, don't ask me about my finances. Like, I don't want to know. Don't ask me. Don't have to look at it. And I think it's really important for us as an industry to take charge of our finances. And so I think that's going to be something, it's definitely something that I'm going to be teaching on a lot this year. It's something that I'm super insanely passionate about, which, again, you probably would not look at me and be like, oh, she loves math. Oh, she loves numbers. But trust me, I do. Like, I geek out over spreadsheets and numbers and finances and data. And that's something that I'm definitely going to be teaching a lot to this year. And I think it's something that, as an industry, if you can take charge of your finances as an individual hairstylist or salon owner or whatever position you have, you will dramatically change the trajectory of your career. And that's the thing that's the coolest thing about it. It's a career move. And the more you can start to organize your finances and understand your finances and understand profit and making money in your business, the more you're going to be able to build that wealth in your life. And so, it's something I'm going to be talking about. And actually at Hair Camp, I'm going to be talking a little bit about that too. A little bit about finances.
Yeah. Amazing. So, all right. This is the year. This is the year where we're going to get it together, Jamie.
Yeah. I hope so.
2023.
Yes.
Well, hey, listen, I can't thank you enough. You are amazing. If you all are not following Jamie yet, please do check her out on Instagram. Her handle's right here on the screen. Jamie, you're doing rad stuff. Keep flying at 30,000 feet for our industry, because we need people like you to tell us where we're headed. So I can't wait to see you at Hair Camp. I'm already excited. We've got so much fun stuff planned for these guys, don't we?
So good. So
Yeah.
good. I'm literally counting down the days. It's on my wall calendar
Yeah,
right here. I
same.
cannot wait. So
Got the countdown going. Awesome. Thank you so much
cool.
for hopping on today.
Can't wait to see
You
everybody
are
there.
awesome. All right, Jamie, have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Jamie is amazing. Hey, she does a lot of teaching and coaching and how you can grow your brand and your business as a stylist or as a salon owner. That's one of the reasons why what Jamie's doing is so aligned with what we are. Not only do we want you to be putting out great work, right, on the daily, but we also want you to be somebody who can do great work for a long time. Somebody like Jamie has the ability to in what she's teaching, to make your career sustainable, to make it something that like passion continues to be reinvoked. And she's a great leader and a coach in that world. So we're excited that Jamie's going to be our MC at Hair Camp 2023. So if you want to see her in person, come hang out with myself and Jamie at Hair Camp 2023. Hey, listen, this is the most fun part of my job is the people I get to connect with. And this next person that we have coming on is named Kyle Huntsberry. I got to connect with Kyle through a friend who owns a salon in Columbus. She had her come in for a class and she said, this girl is the future of education, the future of curly hair. We had the absolute pleasure of having Kyle into the studio this summer, working with her, doing some content creation and some class filming. And I cannot tell you what a phenomenal human being she is. She is taking the industry by storm right now. She's a phenomenal educator. She's a phenomenal stylist, but she's also a phenomenal salon owner. So let's get this all-star on here right now. It's milk.honey.hair, Kyle Huntsberry. What is up, Kyle?
Hi, Sam. How are you? So happy to be here.
Good to see you. Look at you.
How are you?
Great. Thanks for hopping on today. I'm so glad you're here.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
So Kyle, we connected this summer. We got a chance to hang out. You have been a busy gal, just kind of taking over the world, right? That's your goal?
I don't know if that's the goal, but it's definitely to make our industry better, change the narrative, and help fellow stylists just create the business that they want behind the chair.
Yeah. Well, I know I've spent just with the limited amount of time we spent together, I'm walking away from those times wanting to do all those things. So you absolutely crushed that. Thank you. Okay. So if you see in front of Kyle, she's got a mannequin head in front of her. So listen, Kyle, I don't want to take too much time away from the education you're going to teach us, but you are going to be teaching this next year at Hair Camp, right?
Yeah. Can't wait.
Awesome. Yeah. And so you're going to show us a little bit today about maybe a glimpse into who you are as an educator, and then also a little bit about what you're teaching. So talk to us today about what we're going to be learning from you.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to come to Hair Camp. So I'm going to be teaching everything curly cutting and curly styling and curl theory, different curl types, breakdowns, and just how to get those clients back in the chair, and also how to transition people who maybe have curly hair, but just see it as frizzy, and teach the stylist how to get them to be their curl clients. I think they're the most loyal clients in the world, and they're amazing, and they buy tons of products. So you definitely want them in your chair.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm going to give you the full screen. So why don't you take over and teach our hair campers a little more about curly hair?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Hi, how are you? So awesome to be here with Sam. Jamie Dana is awesome. It was nice to see her up here. I'm so excited for Hair Camp. So I'm just going to give you guys a little tutorial on curly styling. I'll be teaching curly cutting at Hair Camp, but this is a little tidbit on curl styling. So if you see my friend here, I have her split half and half. This left side is actually already styled with some product, and it's diffused and it's dry, but I haven't fluffed it or done any sort of dry styling, which is, I think, the most important part of your curly styling. I hear from hairstylists all over, they can give the most amazing haircut, but it's the finish that everybody struggles with. So I'm here to help you with that if that is something you struggle with. And I'm gonna give you a little product breakdown, why I love the products, why I use the products that I use, and show you how I put the product in the hair. So the right side of her hair, it has no product in it. And it's just nice and wet and ready for you guys. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of product distribution. We're gonna talk about the product. So right behind me, I have all of my favorite products that I love to use in the salon. talk to you a little bit about these quickly. I love to use Innersense. I love to use Lust Brands. I love Hair Story. And I'll tell you why I love these products so much. They are, the main thing I would say is that water is their best friend. They're silicone-free products, so they give lasting longevity in the client's hair. I'm not here to, break down crazy ingredients or bash silicones, because I think silicones have a time and a place. But what has brought me so much success is using products that are silicone-free for my curly girls. The Lust Brands Curly is a really nice curl cream that is it's so moisturizing, and it's a really great place to start and a really good price point for guests. It's super moisturizing curl cream. It's easy to use, and it really actually helps repair the hair and actually kind of make the hair curlier because it's so moisturizing. And I styled my friend here with the Lust Brands Curly first, and then I set it on top of it with the Innersense I Create Volume, which is a hair lotion. If you guys don't know it, bring it in close. This is like my favorite product. This is like a game changer for me. This is like what I styled my hair with on a weekly basis. And why I love it so much is because it lasts all week long. I think the biggest struggle that curly girls have, or people transitioning to curly, is that they feel like they lose control of their hair. It's really easy to get your hair blown out straight and know exactly what it's going to look like every single day. And then when you're transitioning to somebody to curly, they feel like their results are unpredictable. And I think it's our job as educators to teach our clients how to take control of their curly hair and teach them about how their curls will evolve throughout the week. And by using products that you can count on and that will last for you, and you can explain to your guests how their hair is going to look each and every day and what to do to refresh their curls, you're giving the control back to them. And then they are really, geared up for the curly hair routine. So I'm going to show you a little product distribution and take down this section of hair. And then I'm going to show you my awesome shakeout on this side. So I just have the front section out for you. Her hair is nice and wet. You really want the hair to be as moist as possible when you're talking about true curly hair. The industry loves to break down, or I should say consumers love to break down curly hair and, the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s. I'm sure you've heard of that, the curly charts that are everywhere. And so I'm going to categorize her as a type 3 curly, which to me is a true curly. You can be tighter, you can be looser. Type 2s are more wavy, and type 3s are more like kinky or coily. But she's a true curly. And you want it to be really nice and moisturized when you're working on type 3s and higher. Tons of water. She's a mannequin, so I'm not going to re-wet her, but if this was a real person, I would do this at the sink immediately after conditioning, no towel dry or minimal. I would put a towel underneath her neck, and then I would work in the product section by section on really, really, really damp, moisturized hair. We want to secure the water into the hair, and it really adds as that other ingredient to make sure that we get lasting longevity. So I'm actually going to go ahead and show you a few different ways to put in the product. I'm using the curly first because it's really nice and moisturizing. So I like to use that as a base, especially if you have any damaged areas. It's going to really help fill in those holes in the cuticle and help really hydrate those curls. The I Create Volume from Innersense is going to help me with longevity and hold and shine. It's a super moldable, lightweight lotion, and it works amazing. So I'm just gliding this through the hair. There's a few ways that we can put in our product, just depending on the curl type. If we have somebody that has more waves and we're trying to enhance the curls, there's nothing wrong with going in and giving it a nice coil twist. I don't do this to a ton of my guests because I really do believe in the natural texture just as it is. And I always just think about people's lifestyle, they're working, they're moms, they're professionals, and how much time they have, and what I like to do. So I don't like to spend a lot of time setting my curls. But for some people, they really want that perfect set. There's nothing wrong with going in and coiling each single curl if that's something that you have time for. If you're going to glide the product in, like so, this is really good for my type 2s and my type 3s. Because it's going to lay down the cuticle nice and flat. You're going to get that moisture in there. You're not manipulating the curl too much. it's truly just accepting the curl for where it is. When we have a looser texture and we're trying to enhance it, then we like to get in there and really scrunch the product in. So leaning them over to the side to get some direction in there. And this is what I would call scrunching. So that's really good for your looser texture curls. Then we're gonna go right on top of the curly with the I Create Volume. I'm gonna glide right on top of this. I'm gonna show you guys some cool diffusing techniques too and how to fluff out these curls. All right, we're gonna move right to the next section. And in the next section, I'm gonna show you a technique with the brush that is another way to just distribute the product. Sometimes it's faster, and I feel like it works really well for me in the salon when I'm moving through a lot of clients in the day, or I really have to get them dry. So again, I'm going in with the curly. I'm just gliding it right through there. She was thoroughly detangled before this with the conditioner at the sink. Tons of water, guys. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have your client really well hydrated. If we're half dry, then we're not going to get the same results. The curly especially is activated by water. So the water is super, super important, and it's one of the ingredients that you're putting in the hair. Finishing with the I Create Volume. The I Create Volume kind of has a funny name where people with super thick hair would think like, I don't need volume, I don't need that. Any product that's kind of listed as a volume product generally has a ton of hold. And so it actually works really, really well. And why I love it so much is because it holds all week long with minimal refresh or a little bit of refresh, and it does not flake or get crusty on you. That's the beauty of using products that are silicone free, because the silicone is something that, you know, it seals the water out and it creates a barrier. So when you try to re-wet your hair or refresh your curls with a silicone rich product, that's when you'll get flakiness or it'll reharden or it just won't work. As water is like the main ingredient in these products and in the hair, when we refresh it with a little bit of water, it completely reactivates the product. Just moments before I hopped on here, my hair was a little bit of a frizzy mess, but I just rehydrated it with some water and a little bit more curly. I hit it with the diffuser and I have curls right back. Again, because the product loves water. Another way to set curls when you're in the salon, just to make it much quicker, this brush is actually from Less Brands, which is amazing, but a nice wet brush or Denman brush is a great use. And I'm just bringing it through and ever so slightly giving it a little bit of bevel. So I'm able to travel, turn it to the side so you can see. Let's see. And I'm just bringing it right through. And giving it a little wiggle at the ends so those curls kind of pop up. This sometimes just works a little bit faster when you're at the salon and you need to really get that product right through the hair. All right, we're gonna go into the last section. Again, a little bit of curly, super moisturizing cream. The main ingredient in the Less products are shea butter and moringa. I don't know if I'm gonna say that right. Moringa leaf, which is super beneficial, has tons of vitamins in it. It's really reparative, and you'll see it immediately in your client's hair. So again, I'm taking it right from the root, and at the root, I'm just giving it a little bit of a bevel, so it's going to help let those curls lie flat. If you're dealing with really tight curls and you're just brushing through them without any sort of technique, you're gonna make the curls much wider and poofier and frizzier, and you're not gonna lock in the moisture, which is really what we wanna do. And I'm going right back in with the I Create Volume, and I'm sealing all that moisture in. The I Create Volume is gonna give me longevity, it's gonna give me shine, it's gonna give me control. So I'm just gonna go through with a few diffusing techniques. So I think the diffusing is a lot of times where our stylists get tripped up and maybe get a little impatient or worry about making the hair frizzy. And then I'm going to show you on the other side how to expand those curls and get that nice voluminous curls that we're all looking for. I love to coach my clients as well about accepting the volume in their hair and really embracing it. So I think we've spent way too much time trying to, blend in and not stand out. And I don't think we're about that anymore. I think people are really ready to embrace who they are. All right, so I have the Dyson here. I'm not gonna spend too much time diffusing, but I just wanna show you a few different diffusing techniques. So always when you're starting your diffuse, again, this is on type 2 curls, like truly curly hair, like mine. When the hair is really, really wet, we want to not manipulate the curls. We don't want to disturb them. I always say that we set it and we forget it. So if they're going to air dry, they cannot be touching their hair. They can't be flipping it back and forth. It's really about putting the product in and letting it truly dry as is. And then we can have all the fun once the hair is dry. So with the diffuser, you want to start on your lowest heat setting and your lowest blow setting. So that you're not blowing the hair in all different directions. You really want to keep it nice and calm. And we're just going to hover around the hair. If this was a more of a wavy client, then we can start scrunching or cradling with the diffuser and manipulating more. But when we have tighter curls, we really just want to hover to get that moisture off. As the hair continues to dry and get drier and drier, we can increase our heat and we can increase our speed. So a few things, I hope you guys can hear me over this. I'll turn it down a little. A few things to keep in mind. We do not want to diffuse like this. This is going to start blowing the hairs in all different directions. The outer layer of the cuticle is just going to splay out, and we're going to already start creating frizz. So holding the diffuser still, but rotating it around the head is the most important part, especially when the hair is a true curly, a true type 2, and especially when the hair is, maybe lacking moisture or tends to get frizzy. The more that you start manipulating the curl when it's really wet, you're going to already start causing frizz. I tell the same thing to my clients. Really important for us to educate our clients on how to get a good style, because that's going to be the difference for them wanting a blowout versus wanting to wear their natural hair. Curly hair is beautiful as is, and I think it's really important that we start that conversation. I think it's unfortunate that we're not necessarily taught how to deal with textured hair in cosmetology school, but that narrative has to change, and it has to change with us. Us as the professional, it's up to us to get educated. It's up to us to understand the curl. Do you have any questions? Ask them in the comments. Okay. I don't know if I'm supposed to be answering questions, but it's up to us as the professional to educate our guests, to teach them about their curly hair, to have them fall in love with their curly hair. And the best way that we can do that is with proper product and proper styling techniques. And there's nothing better than a really great haircut that is set for curly hair. I think it's really important to just understand the behavior of curly hair. Once you understand the behavior of curly factor, you respect the shrinkage, you respect the curl pattern, and you can almost do anything with curly hair, and it's so much fun to create. In the salon, I have my clients move with me, so I want to get those curls away from the head. So you just have them like tilt over to the right, so you can start diffusing it in this way. I'm gonna lean her. Did you see how I'm still just hovering around the hair? If she was wavy or a looser texture, then you can have a little bit more of this cradling action will really help activate these curls. But doing this on tighter texture, you're going to manipulate, you're going to cause way too much shrinkage. Another option, if the curls are really, really tight, is to have them sit underneath a hooded dryer. Tons of moisture. You want to pick the right products that are going to hold. Don't be scared of putting the product in the hair. It's another thing why I'm super picky about my products is because when you use better ingredients, you just get way better results. You don't have to worry about the hair flaking. You don't have to worry about the hair getting dry. And I think that in the curl community, it's really tough to choose products because it's oversaturated. And clients get super overwhelmed with what to choose, and they don't understand the ingredients. And things can be promoted for curly hair, but they're not necessarily for curly hair. Or there can be products that are not promoted for curly hair, and they're really great, and they work amazingly well in curly hair. So it's really important for us as the professionals to get educated about ingredients and then explain them to our guests so that they can make the right decision. I feel like a lot of people assume, oh, curly hair is so much harder to take care of. It's going to take longer. But again, once you understand how to really set it and get a really good style, I only style my hair and spend the time on it once a week. And sometimes it's less than that. I know how to refresh my curls. I know how to sleep with it. And I educate all my guests on the ways to refresh their curls and how to get longevity out of it. But again, it starts with really great products. Right. So now that I have a little bit more moisture taken out of the hair, this is at a point, I'm not going to turn it up because I want you guys to be able to hear me. But at this point, I would turn up the speed and I would turn up the heat. I can turn up the heat. And again, you want to dry the hair up all at the same rate. So meaning you don't want to spend too much on one area when the area right next to it is soft and wet. You want to keep rotating your diffuser. And you can still see that at this point, I'm not shaking the diffuser. I'm not cupping the hair or anything like that. If the hair is too wet and you're going to break it apart, you're going to cause frizz. So I would say the biggest difference in getting a really great curly style is patience. Patience is key. I think we get a little nervous when we start diffusing, and then we think that we see it start getting frizzy, so then we stop and we don't dry it thoroughly. But a little frizz is going to happen when we're drying wet hair. That dry hair sitting next to that wet hair is always going to look a little frizzy. And I always love to tell my guests, it's going to look worse before it looks better. But I also think diffusing and drying your hair is actually super important, especially when you have guests who have low porosity hair, meaning that it doesn't accept moisture very easily. The cuticle is super tightly wound. So when they don't take the time to thoroughly dry their hair, they actually make it even harder for their hair to dry. So by adding a little heat to their hair, they're teaching their cuticle to open up so that it'll more easily accept moisture. All right, guys. So like I said, this side I already styled. I styled with the I Create Volume from Inner Sense, amazing brand. And I styled with the Curly from Luss. They work really well together, again, because they are free of silicones, parabens, DEA, mineral oil, anything that's going to leave a really heavy cast and coating on the hair, which at first is going to make you feel like your hair is really well hydrated because they have a really great slip factor. But over time, that coating starts to suffocate the cuticle and it actually locks out moisture. So, and choose your ingredients wisely. So on this dry side, I want to show you, you guys can really see, let me pop this off. I hope you can see the lack of volume that we have going on, but you can see that we have really nice hydrated curls. They almost look like they have a little bit of crunch to them. And that's another thing guests are really scared about. So again, it's all about your education. But I actually just described this. This is the curl cast. So this getting this little slight amount of crunch in the hair is really awesome for longevity. And you know, some guests like to leave their hair super controlled and just like so. But a lot of guests I'm finding now are really into creating that volume in their hair, and they've let go of the control a little bit, and they want to know how they can get all of that curl definition but still get a ton of fullness. So again, this side is dry. And so I'm going to show you how we fluff it out, and I want you to see me start to build that volume in the hair. I think that stylists can be really scared to touch the hair once it's dry. You know, curly hair, we always say don't touch, don't touch. But this is where the magic, I truly feel like, happens in your styling. And this is going to be the difference between you and the stylist down the street, is to really get that really nice finish. So I'm grabbing Inner Sense. It is their Inner Piece Whip Texturizer. This is like amazing sort of, I guess it's like a putty, but it has a ton of moisture to it. And it has a little bit of slip, but it also has a little bit of grit too. So it's a really great way to start to build volume into the hair. And I use this a lot as a finisher. Grab a towel. So I'm going to start to massage this on her finished side. Again, this is dry. We have a little bit of that curl cast going on. You sometimes will see a little bit of that white residue when you first put it on, but it's nothing to worry about, because as you massage it and melt it into the hair, it completely dissipates. So what I'm doing is I'm breaking up that curl cast. I'm just starting to lightly massage those curls so that I can get a little bit more control with them, and I can start to create more of an airy, soft, authentic vibe, which I think is what most women are looking for. So I'm like massaging this right into the hair, and I'm really kind of getting a little bit more aggressive with my touching because the hair is dry. I can. If this was half wet and we started to do this, you would lose your curl definition and you would create frizz. So it's all about the timing. And I'm going to take her off this stand because, again, if she was a real person, I would have her flip in with me. Yeah, and so this side is still pretty damp, but I'm just showing you the volume that I'm able to create once the hair is dry. So I'm massaging that root. I'm going to lean her into it a little bit, and I'm using my fingers almost like a pick. I'm going in and I'm pulling it out. So you actually are creating a little bit of frizz, but it's purposeful frizz. It's frizz that we have control over. So I'm pulling it out at the root to start to expand it. And that Inner Piece Whip Texturizer is really nice. You can go right on top of it and keep adding it. And you can also diffuse it right into the hair or dry it right into the hair. So you can see right now how I've already got a little bit more volume going, but we're going to create a little bit more. I'm going to just clip this out of my way. I hope that you guys are doing more curls at the salon, and I'm sure you are, because I feel like curly hair has made like a huge movement. So I'm going to go in, and now I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with my diffuser. So I'm going against the grain of the hair, and I'm going really like right up in there. Again, I've like sealed in my moisture. I've sealed in my curl pattern by doing a really good style set. And now I can be a little bit more aggressive with the diffuser, go against the grain and the natural cuticle to start to open this up. Shaking it. You know what? I'm gonna take the diffuser off at this point and really gonna start messing with that root to create a lot of volume, texture, open, stretch, tighter curl patterns. This is a really great moment that if they're looking for a little bit more length, that you can get in there, hold this still, and start stretching it. You can pull this out and start manipulating the dryer and giving them more length by just stretching it open like that. So don't be scared to touch it. You spent your time making sure that the moisture and the curl pattern is in there. Pop her off. And now we're gonna really have fun with creating that volume.
Oh, what's going on? Holy cow.
I'm working it. I'm still working it.
I mean, every time my mind is blown, there is so many nuggets in what you just taught us.
Awesome.
She looks amazing for one. Look at all that volume.
Are you facing it?
Yeah.
You have more volume, right?
I think what everyone can walk away from this moment realizing is that if you start and you build the curl right with the right product and you follow the right steps, you can be aggressive with that hair. Like at this point, if you didn't do that, this hair would be a frizzy mess, right?
100%.
Yeah. And there's so much like control with those curls. Like they're holding together. They look awesome. There's definition, there's shine in there. Yeah. I mean, that is gorgeous. Amazing.
Thanks, Sam.
Kyle, holy cow. Okay. Wow. Man, thank you so much for showing us that technique.
Yes, thanks for having me. More to come.
Yeah, there's so much more to come. Okay, so hey, I am so excited. It's like I said when we first hopped on, watching you as a curly educator has completely changed the way that I think about curly hair. And so we had some questions come in, some great questions. You mind if we just get to those real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay, here's our first one. This is from Paloma. It says, "Hi, Kyle. If you're cutting a curly client, would you take them back to the sink and re-wet and apply product after the cut? You mentioned you would apply product at the sink when the hair is really wet. So do you want to speak to that for a second?"
Oh, yes. So yeah, I cut the hair dry. So I give instructions on my clients on how to come in. I like clean, dry, detangle, down in its natural state, first day curls. So I cut the hair dry with product in it, how they came in. And then after I've cut it dry, I take them to the sink and reset their curls.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for answering that. Another question that came in is from Erica, and this was the question. They said, "I learned to twist curls wet, but maybe that's not as much texture curl." So I think what that question is, we do a lot of finger twisting, right? Setting of curls with our clients. Is that something that you would recommend? Or tell us when we would use that technique and when we would not.
Yeah, I think it's like just personal preference. Truthfully, like I always just like to take the client's lifestyle into consideration, and it's really important for me that my clients are able to recreate what I do. So if they're not going to take the time to do that, then I'm not going to do it. If they're going to, then okay, we'll do it. Awesome. It's not my general style, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it, especially if somebody's trying to nurse some curls back to health or you have a looser texture. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. And then Bridget had a question on your brush. So I'm going to show it here, and maybe you can help me answer this one. It says, Kyle, is the brush distribution method also for fro types 2 and 3?
I think that it can be used
for 4 types 2 and 3.
Is it 4 types 2 and 3?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it can be used for all types.
Okay, awesome.
To be honest.
So like no matter what that curl pattern is, this technique is applicable across the board.
Yeah, and I think it just makes it quicker in the salon.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, for anybody else who's on here right now and sitting here watching Kyle, there's so many tips and tricks. One of the main things that I've had to break the habit of as a stylist is that I think in hair school, at least my experience was that hair all is treated the same way. And then you apply the same styling techniques, you apply the same cutting techniques. And then all of a sudden a curly person sits in your chair and you're like, I'm going to treat this like straight hair. And we get ourselves in the trouble because we don't start from the beginning. We don't look at the hair and just say, this is a completely different fabric, texture, strand, whatever you want to help identify you that this is a different material you're working with, because the same principles don't apply, right?
No, it's like yes and no, right? I think that you can build a really structured haircut with curly hair once you understand the behavior of it. It's not going to behave like straight hair does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, I just thank you so much. Listen, Kyle is unbelievable. She is a phenomenal stylist, but she's also a phenomenal educator. She can take like the complicated techniques that she's doing on her clients, and she can get you and me to understand them in a really simple way. So if you loved this today, come see her in person at Hair Camp. She's also taken over the world of hair, one salon at a time. She's really, really crushing it up in New Jersey. We're so glad that you're doing your thing, Kyle. Thank you so much for being here today. We're excited to partner with you with Hair Camp. We can't wait to get more of you in front of our community. So thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me, Sam.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you this spring. Okay.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Make sure you guys are following Kyle for up-to-date just looks and things that she's doing. She's just really making an impact with curly hair. What I love is that she deeply understands the foundations of curly hair. And then because she does that, she's able to create a unique style. We see that work, and curly hair doesn't just start and stop with that ringlet texture. Like she said, there's 4 curl types, whether it's from just a subtle wave to a really zigzaggy curl. They all have a place. And so I think learning to work with them foundationally helps grow your work and your creativity as a stylist. So listen, so power packed today. That was incredible. I'm super hyped about that. We have a lot of fun at Hair Camp. Jamie, who was on here first, Jamie Dana was on here first. She did some girl on the street interviews that we want to show you guys now. Here's a fun one to just take a look at. So this is Jamie at Hair Camp.
Hey, I'm Jamie Dana, and today we are going to be talking to some different campers and just hearing about their camp experience here at Hair Camp. So let's go find some people. Real quick, tell me your favorite part of camp so far. What's your name, actually?
Shannon.
Shannon, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My favorite part has been hanging out with my bestie.
Oh,
Mish.
who's your bestie right here?
Mish.
Oh, Mish. One of our fellow educators. And favorite part has been just hanging out?
Hanging out, getting to meet some really awesome people. Everyone's super friendly.
Okay, real quick. We're doing a challenge. And so we have 5 seconds, and I need you to name 5 hair-related words in 5 seconds. Ready? Go.
Okay. Brush, foil, comb, bleach,
and
color.
more. Yeah, she did it. Awesome. Thanks, guys. High five there. Thanks, Mish. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
We like to have a lot of fun at Hair Camp. Jamie Dana, if you're just hopping on, she was with us this past year. She's going to be our MC at this next year, Hair Camp 2023. Listen, it's all about hair. It's all about having fun. It's all about being better at what we do, and just making sure we enjoy ourselves along the way. If you're sitting here today and you're like, hey, I'm a baby stylist. Maybe you're sitting here today and you're like, I'm a 20-year stylist and I'm tired. Wherever you fall within that spectrum, Hair Camp is for you. One of the things that we love to do at Hair Camp is to partner with new learners. We get a lot of questions. Hey, I've been a stylist for a year. I'm just graduating from cosmetology school. I don't know if these techniques are too advanced. If that is you, yes, come. This next fella we're about to have on is a friend of mine named Adreon Clark. Adrian's my hair guy is his tag on Instagram. We had the absolute pleasure of meeting Adreon on 2019 at Hair Camp. What we do is we partner with our local Paul Mitchell school. We have their students come in and assist the educators for the weekend. Adreon was one of those guys. And man, he just absolutely stood out. He had a chance to assist Mish Jolie. She was an educator at year 1. And then last year, she's an amazing colorist. And Adreon got to learn from her. But what was amazing is Adreon got his start at hair school, came to Hair Camp, and the trajectory this guy has been on since then has been unbelievable. So if you're sitting here wondering, is Hair Camp for me, and you're a student or you're a new learner or you're just getting started, maybe you're an apprentice at a salon, absolutely. We're going to get Adreon on here. Here's his story, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that. Adreon!
Hello.
What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Just been enjoying this bonfire all day,
Yeah,
chilling,
yeah,
watching you
yeah.
guys.
Right. How was your experience? Did Kyle just blow your mind?
Yeah, every time, like the moment when I got to watch her when she came to the studio, it was amazing. And then that I was like, oh, I gotta add that some new tricks
I'm
up my
like,
sleeve.
I'm really hoping I have a curly client this week because I'm like, I need to use all of this.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, great to see you today. Thank you for hopping on. So, Adrian, year one at hair camp, the first time you met us, you were a student at Paul Mitchell, right?
Yes. I was either a student or like freshly graduated. One of
So
the
tell us about that experience.
it was so cool. I knew what hair camp was and I wanted to go, and I just that year I was like I just didn't think it was going to be able to happen. And then the school reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we've got this awesome opportunity, and it sounds like it'd be right up your alley. Like, do you want to go?" And I was like, "What is it?" And they were like, "It's hair camp." And I was like, "Oh, I'm there. Like, I'm there absolutely." And I feel like by doing that, like I got to meet like a good core group of like the hairdressing community and like what really matters. So I didn't have to go through like all of the bad stuff. And even with assisting Mish, I feel like it helped me understand so much better at such an early part of my career that again, like I feel like I got to kind of jump over some of the bad stuff and get good.
We got those habits sort of nipped in the bud early on, which is awesome,
Yes.
man. What a gift. So if you're wondering how Adrian and I's relationship progressed, is that we met at hair camp, but actually Adrian and I now have the pleasure of being coworkers together at the salon we both work at and that I own called High Five Salon here in Cincinnati. Adrian, I see you repping that high five swag on that head. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, our new merch.
Yeah. So Adrian, you've been in since 2019. You sort of hit the ground running. Tell us about the progression from then until now and how you've seen hair camp be a part of that growth.
I mean, it's a constant. It's there. Like people know what hair camp is, and it's so easy to like reference when you're talking about it, especially for the people that have gone. And it just builds that sense of community. So I always have somebody to like bounce back off of. And like if it's somebody I was in a class with that I might not necessarily remember exactly how that went, I can be like, well, how did she word that? How did she do that again? And it's always just a sense of community that you can always come back to. And I think that always makes things better.
Man, that's awesome. Hey, listen, 2023, you are like I said, you're on this rocket ship with your work and your career, and it's been a blast to get to watch and be a part of. But, we've got a year ahead of us. And I know for our new viewers, right, these new students that are maybe where you were just a couple years ago, do you have any advice for them as far as like what this next year they should be focusing on? How do you encourage these guys that are getting ready to either launch out of school or just launched?
I would say that your first year, I mean, you hear it from everybody, it's definitely the hardest year. And I think in my first year, what I was focused on that again really helped me was like educating and making sure that I could knock whatever I could and whatever sat in my chair out of the park. And just be impressive, make sure you're on your P's and Q's.
Yeah. And making sure that education is a part of that story, right?
Definitely. Education is definitely like, I think one of the biggest parts of your first year out of school.
Yeah. Well, it's been awesome to watch you be hungry for that. I know you pursued that through hair camp. There's been so many times outside of even the salon that I'm asking Adrian what he's doing for the weekend, and he's headed out of town for a hair class. So if you want to grow and get to that next level, it really takes that sort of passion and drive. So I see that in you, man. Awesome. Adrian, thanks for hopping on here today, dude. It's great to see you.
Thank you for having me. I love doing stuff like this.
Awesome. All right, buddy. Well, hey, listen, I'll see you tomorrow, but also I'll see you at hair camp. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thanks, dude. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Man. Yeah. So, what a cool story. And, what's also awesome is that there's another story that came out of hair camp from last year is that Rachel was another one of the Paul Mitchell students who's now at High Five Salon, and her experience with hair camp shifted her trajectory. And so like, I just think that if you're sitting here saying, like, is this an opportunity for me to grow? Anytime something comes up like that as a stylist, say yes to it, right? If you look at these stylists that maybe you follow online, or they're a big fan that you're a big fan of their education, if you wonder how they got there, it's because they're constantly saying yes to growth. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Maybe it's going to cost you money or time, or maybe it's going to cost you model time in your chair. Whatever that looks like, I want you to pursue that. That's something that we think is so important. And that drive will only get you to a more successful, better place. One of the people that I have had the insane pleasure of watching this trajectory with their life is the next person we're going to have on here, Andy Judd. He is just an amazing friend. And we have known each other for a long time. It has been so cool because year one, Andy was sitting in the audience as a hair camper. He was one of our camp counselors. And then, and he was just all in. I love this statement for certain people: to know Andy is to love Andy. He is infectious and just makes your life full and abundant and full of joy. So what had ended up happening post hair camp is just that same drive and passion we're talking about that Adreon's got. Andy he's got this unquenchable desire to create. And to watch him go from this stylist who I knew in Cincinnati to have this national platform. And I would say become a massive influencer for this creative vision that is so unique to him, has been one of my biggest kind of joys of doing this whole thing. So Andy is in local or in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to go to him live right now.
Hello.
Andy.
Hi. That was so nice. I was like backstage, like, my God.
I was just trying to see if I could get you to cry before you came on.
We don't want to ruin anything, so
don't ruin anything. Keep
again.
it nice and fresh. Andy, welcome to the Bonfire. So good to have you here today.
Second year in a row. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I would say that, based on, our experience between year one, this is your second, we had you at year two. Now we're going to year three. Can we call you a hair camp alum?
Please do.
I
love that. I kind of feel like that.
In the truest sense, right?
Hair camp is like my favorite activity just in general. I feel like every year that I go, and I've been at every single one there has been. I was going to be there too for the one that got moved.
Yes, sadly, yes, that's right.
So I don't know. I just love it so much. I'd love to be considered an alumni. I've listen, be in every position.
You just at this point you get to just tell us what you are. Okay, that's how we're going to do this.
I think I can do that.
Okay. So, Andy, here's what I want to extract from today's conversation. Right, okay. You like rocket ship. I mean, there is just you have just been unstoppable over the past couple years. It's been so cool to just get to watch and support and cheerlead. I think really what I would love to hear from you is, what do you feel like you're doing right now? And what have you been doing that has led to the success you've had? I mean, I think a lot of us as stylists are sitting here and we're saying, man, we'd love to be busier. We'd love to have a dream clientele. We'd love to be making the amount of money that we've always dreamed of.
Yeah.
What have you done that has just built that momentum to get you to where you're at? Talk through that. And I know there's several things, but let's just kind of hit some of them.
That's very sweet. Thank you. It's funny because I am somebody who, no matter where I'm at, I never think I'm arrived yet. So it's interesting to hear that perspective because I never feel like I'm anywhere yet. Even though I know that I've done things and continuously progressed. A mix of consistency is probably the number one thing that I've maintained to be able to grow. But it's consistency in pushing myself, doing, network type industry related things, putting myself out there. But I feel like it really boils down to just focusing on the way I would do something and elevating that and just putting that out for the world to see. But it being for myself first and foremost. If someone else is like resonating or enjoying it, that's a dream, right? But it's ultimately, I started doing hair and I was like, okay, here is a very fundamental, like long layered haircut that I was taught. What is my version of that going to look like, instead of just creating a carbon copy thing that was created by 20 plus students that I was in hair school with,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then as that evolves, you start to develop your own perspective on the most fundamental things. And then you break that apart and you see something wild out in the hair world. And you're like, okay, that's amazing. Or like a bowl cut, right? You're like, okay, how would that be applicable to an everyday wearer? And then how would I do my own spin on that? And then basically for every type of haircut, that's just kind of what I've dived into, to where I feel pretty comfortable with what I've created so far. And now I'm just able to play around with the opposite side of that. I feel like I built a house and I've been exploring color significantly more. So I get to paint the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I know early on we were seeing a lot of amazing texture and shape and movement in the hair. Now we're seeing a lot more vividness through color.
Yeah.
It's been cool to watch you marry those two together. And yet it still has that unique Andy signature on there, which is just, I think, really incredible. So you said something that is, I think, that I want to call out: consistency.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree that if I sort of chronicle your work, the word that comes to mind is consistency. Okay. So tell us why that's important. Why do you feel like consistency is important?
Say you do something amazing once and no one sees it. And I guess, it doesn't have to be seen necessarily. I do think if you're trying to grow your career to whatever you want it to be, whether that's gaining new clients, whether that's to grow like an artistic perspective for like a brand to see, or like brand deals or anything like that, whatever it is, it's you kind of want to put it out there so that way it's for you, but also you're hoping an opportunity comes with that as well. So it really was just like being consistent in posting, sharing what I'm doing. And then I started being consistent on Instagram with posting my work every single day. And then it was, okay, adding this on and then adding this on. Any opportunity that came, just kind of like accepting that until you kind of learn what is achievable and what's not and what fits. But you never know unless you try. And you just kind of have to like stay consistent, but also not put yourself in a box where you're only doing the one thing or only exclusively staying in one lane. I think it's good to be able to be a versatile stylist. I mean, if we're taking it fundamentally back to working behind the chair, I'm a type of person who, if somebody walks in my chair and they want anything, they want clippers, they want shaves, they have curls, they want it blown out, anything that they want, I want to be able to at least do.
Yeah.
So I'm not turning anyone away. Does that make sense?
I mean,
does that
think,
answer your question a little?
I think anyone who is listening right now that feels like they want to sort of limit their opportunities by saying, I do one type of hair, I love that you're hammering on that. Because I think what ends up happening is we pigeonhole ourselves too much into these, like, I do this one type of hair, and then we miss the opportunity to grow beyond that. And so what you're saying is, like, if someone sits in your chair, you want the opportunity to create whatever that look needs to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a situation you don't have to personally like it as a stylist. It doesn't have to be in your, like, the most amazing thing you've ever created. You're marketing it. This is my brand. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to know how to do it so that way I can execute it. And then maybe I'll learn something from it that I did like from it and then twist it into a version that I can market.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the things consistency has, from a friend and mentor of mine, and absolutely a friend and mentor of yours, Brian Hickman.
Yeah,
he's the king of consistency. That man is steady and has sort of built his entire clientele and like his process off of consistency. So you've had a great model for that, which is so cool.
It is true. Yeah, he says it almost every time that I speak with him. And it's hard to boil down what consistency means, because I think consistency can mean a lot to a lot of different people. It's just committing to whatever you want to progress in and not letting anything stop you with it.
I love it. Okay, one more question. You're going
Okay.
to be teaching us amazing stuff at Hair Camp. Talk
Yeah.
a little bit about your class. What are we going to learn from you this year at Hair Camp 2023?
You know, I'm really excited about my class at Hair Camp this year. I feel like, again, kind of breaking up exactly like what we did last year. I'm going to be introducing fundamentals of introducing a lot of texture. I want you to be able to incorporate any sectioning or anything that I do to be able to create whatever you want. I think hair is the most fun when it introduces wearable texture that somebody can just air dry with.
Yeah.
Also mixed with a little bit of like, what does that look like really stylized? And I think one of an interesting perspective is having like really hard precision-based shapes that also can be worn without the fuss of having to like make it perfect or style every single day. Because I'm always keeping in mind the clientele instead of just hair for the sake of hair. So it's going to be utilizing some really unique looks in a very wearable way that you can make your version of any way you want.
That's what we need. Teach us how to do that.
It's very
Andy.
obscure. However, it will be like, there'll be mixes of precision. It's a cutting class. So there's precision cutting, there's cutting with a razor, a lot of texture cutting, and then just how to blend those styles together and then how to play up the style. The mannequin heads are named Mia.
Oh yeah.
So I like to have the people in my class be the voice of Mia, since Mia can't have a voice. So we kind of figure out what the class wants to see as well. So it can be really custom tailored to you.
That's awesome. Okay, we did have a question come in. Andy, do you still take models? If so, how often?
I do take models. I don't take as many cut models anymore because my clientele is 90% cutting, just on the books on the regular basis. I do take color models because I work for, you're going to talk to Lupe after me, I think a little later.
She's on here today. That's right.
Yeah, I work with her brand Color Space and collaborate with them. So I do take models, and really it's great because I can just reach out to a client that I have with a really cool haircut already. I'm like, hey, can I use some fun hair color on you? And just experiment and play. And it's the most wonderful experience ever. So I do take models. I typically take like 3 to 5 a month.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, listen, Andy, love you.
You're love amazing. You too, buddy.
Thank you for being on here today. We're excited to see you in just a few months.
I know it's going to be so soon.
I know you've probably got a client processing right now, so thanks for hopping on here.
I am on my lunch. I got a little
nice.
beverage.
You got yours.
I have a burrito.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well then you go eat. We're gonna let you go.
Okay.
You just you're an inspiration.
Oh, likewise.
And I think if anything, if our campers could walk away being more like you, man, we would all be winning. So keep doing your thing, and we will keep following along. All right, buddy.
All righty. I'll see you later. Thank
you.
All
right. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, Andy's been such a blast to watch and to be inspired by. One of the things that we want to do at Hair Camp is connect you with great mentors. Like, we're not just putting people on stage because they can like cut a line a certain way. We're also not putting people on stage. I want you to know this about us, and we are intentional about who we partner with as educators. We're not putting people on the stage that are interested in building their reputation. We put people on stage and we connect you with people that understand that if they are better and they can teach you how to be more like them, then you can become better. And so that is the idea of a mentor, that they see the best in you and call it out. So if you want to be around people that are super inspiring, that also want you to be the best version of yourself, come to Hair Camp. That's who our educators are. That's who they are, right? And that's what makes us different than so many other hair shows, is that it's not about some person being on stage and peacocking. It's about them connecting with you in a way where you walk away different and you walk away being more like them for the better. So just know that. That's something really important to us. Somebody that I've had the pleasure of getting to watch do this time and time again is our next guest. Her name is Paula Henson. Paula joined the Hair Camp team last year. And she has had experiences throughout all facets of the industry. Paul has gone everything from being behind the chair to helping run salons to helping run a massive product distribution company that distributes throughout the Midwest. So she's seen all facets. A lot of the people that end up coming to hair camp are salon owners because they're saying, hey, I want to be a better leader. I want to be more successful and I need help. And so that's what Paula does is she helps people become better versions of themselves and how to run their businesses better. This next year at hair camp, Paula is going to be teaching our salon owners at our day 2 track. We've got 2 tracks. We've got a hair track, which is just learn how to cut, color, style hair. We also for day 2 have a special day planned for salon owners. So if you're watching now and you're a salon owner and you need that growth or that leadership or that community, we're going to offer that at day 2. Paula's going to be doing one of her classes on that day. But today we're going to have her on and she's going to talk a little bit about her class. Just give us a teaser into what she's doing. So let's get Paula on here. Hello, Paula Henson.
I'm really excited to be here. And if I wasn't
Wow.
already like in love with Andy, I think I might be deeply in love.
Yeah.
Like I want to give him like the loudest microphone possible to the industry. He was incredible. So
Please, Andy. Okay, Paula, hello. Look at you. Look how cozy your setup is.
well, it's hair camp. I was like, I have to build a fire.
I mean, that is awesome. I love it. Okay, so welcome, Miss Henson. So glad to have you on here. It's been a joy to get to work alongside of you, help build this thing that is hair camp and the way that we're trying to connect our community to themselves and to the hair they're doing. So thank you for being on here today.
Yes.
So now you have had the wonderful experience of really understanding what it looks like, not only to stand behind the chair, but also help lead and run the salons that own the chairs people are standing behind, right?
Yeah. I've been in help like managing. I've done quite a bit of training, and then on the distribution and manufacturing side, a ton of like consulting with other businesses. So seeing 1,000 different salons run their systems 1,000 different ways.
Yeah.
Right. And really, and I think a lot of those like 1,000 ways have a lot of value. And then there's all these different reasons why different people do these things. And it's been fun. I mean, fun to see like the creative mind that is the hairdresser, like put that into business. Because I think some of the business practices when we talk about it, especially like the class is called Hidden Profits, like it just sort of does a little something to the creative spirit. It makes it feel like, oh, we're not going to talk about anything fun, but it's couldn't be further from the truth, because when you see these creative people do these different like systems in their business, and there's just not enough talking about like sharing those ideas. I think we end up in these categories of like, I'm commission, or I'm booth rent, or I'm a salon owner, or I'm a manager, or I'm a like whatever, like the industry's kind of labeled it. When in reality, we see salons do like a mixture of all of these things and have a lot of success. So I'm excited that hair camp is stepping into that voice, you know what I mean, a bit more, and having that track for salon leaders. So we like to call them leaders, because it's the salon owner. But really, like, there's the salon manager, there's the stylist that does a ton of extra work in the salon. There's the stylist that's really kind of in charge of the group, whether in actual title or just like by the experience they have and the relationships they have with the staff. Then there's like front desk teams that are sort of managers and sort of not. Like there's all of these different flavors of leadership within the hairdressing world. And I'm pumped that hair camp's now going to have a track for them. So your actual entire salon team can come to hair camp and have like meaningful experiences that are really tailored for them.
I mean, so you're preaching to the choir, because salon owner, right? And I just know I'm can be so limited by my own disbeliefs or my own bad habits. And so like getting to learn from really great teachers that can teach me how to just sort of like find these ways to improve on what we're doing is just, I think, just so important. So
well, real quick, you know how it goes? Like if you go to an event and you're all excited and then you try to bring it back to your group and they didn't go.
Right.
And you're just like on top of the world and like on cloud 9 and sharing. And everybody's like, oh, he went to another thing, or oh, they read a book, or but when you come together, you're all on that same high, you know. And I've been to like big business classes where you come back and the poor team gets the abuse of my excitement.
Yeah.
Right. And so instead, when you come together, like you really, the car ride home or the flight home is some of the best salon meetings that have ever existed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So listen, I guess, if I can echo Paula's suggestion, if you're a salon owner, you're coming by yourself, bring your manager. If you're a salon owner, you're coming by yourself, pick your top 2 or 3 stylists that help build culture and run your salon with you, and go back and take some of these things you're learning at hair camp, and you'll really be able to implement them. But don't be the person that reads the book and then they come back and they're like, this is the best book I've ever read. You should do all these things. And then the staff isn't as excited. So, okay, listen, I don't want to take too much more time talking about this because you've got some stuff you want to share with us today, right?
Yeah. So the class I'm teaching on Sunday is called Hidden Profits. It's going to be for the leadership track. So Sam, you're teaching some, I'm teaching some as well. And so I think when we hear the word profit, our mind naturally goes to thinking about like selling more, selling differently, pricing structures, pricing differently. But we're actually not talking about that at all. It's sort of covered ad nauseum on Instagram right now. So it doesn't really matter your pricing structure. It doesn't really matter your business model. What matters in profitability is really taking a creative look at the creative lens of like the business side. So yes, it's how you buy, it's the relationships that you have with like your manufacturers, your distributors. It's the attitude that you have about your business. Like profitability is an attitude. It's an approach. It's approach to customer service. It's an approach to creativity. Andy just told us perfectly, like it's an approach to the services that you offer your people.
Yeah.
And so we really are going to take, and we're going to look at profitability from a completely different like hat and a completely different lens. And it would be for 1 chair, for 1,000 chairs, for commission, for booth rent. Like it doesn't really matter. Like you're in business and you're experiencing a certain level of success. And let's look at that with a little bit of a different microscope and see how we can pull additional profitability out of things you're already really doing well.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, can you give us a little teaser into what you're talking about?
Yeah. So an example that comes from like an administrative, like boring task that can turn into really big profitability would be how you price your retail products that you sell. So the traditional model in the hairdressing world is you purchase it for $10, you sell it for $20. So we've experienced a wild ride of price increases over the last couple of years, pandemic, blah, blah, blah. And generally what brands would do is they would release new prices once a year, January, February, some of them do in April, whatever. And then at that time you would go through, hopefully, and change all those prices in your system and then change your retail price according to that. And so from being in distribution and manufacturing, I can't tell you how often someone would place an order and their pricing was wrong. Maybe on every item, maybe on half the items. And so they think they're buying it for $10. That's what their computer system says. So they're still pricing it $20. But at this point, they're really buying it for $14. And so it's like, oh, it's $4. Or maybe it's just $1 more. Maybe it's $11. And how that really adds up. And so to spare you the math, it can add up quickly to, if you're an individual hairdresser, to $10,000 in missed profits over a year. If you have a team, it could easily be $30,000 in missed profits just by having that little administrative task of, did I increase my retail price? And then we were hit with, sometimes 3 and 4 price increases a year over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Even if you thought you were on top of it, like that's kind of like step one. And we'll go through like what do we do to get there when we're at the class, but like, how do we clean up some of that?
That's so you're saying that individual stylists can leave potentially $10,000 on the table
of profit.
Salons, if you've got a team, up to 30.
30? Not up to 30, more than 30. It just depends how dramatic it is because some of these,
and that's simply because the due diligence of like checking prices, being consistent with that,
and how it's so sneaky, not sneaky, but like it sneaks up on you.
Yeah,
because it's just $1, it's just this, or it was just a little price increase, and then it just snowballs really quickly over the months.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing that we often don't think about. I know even some people are even price increase adverse as a stylist or as a salon owner.
And this is the time you can blame it on somebody else. The manufacturer did it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's a fall guy for this.
And we are in the perfect climate for price increase because it is a commonality.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different story. That's a whole different world, price increase. But a price increase on a retail product is much like, it tends to be easier to digest from the customer.
Yeah.
Because they can't be like, it's just labor only. Like, what are you doing? It is what it is, and yes, it leaves a ton of money on the table.
Yeah.
Let alone like what we did. So like if we're sticking with retail pricing, we had this conversation with you recently where we implemented what I like to call just add a little bit. So like the MSRP is $20. Why not charge 21? Why not charge 22? You know, like they don't have to have it shipped. They're right there. Like usually that $1 or $2 purchase for like 99% of customers, if they're a penny pincher, that's them. But everybody else, which is most people, don't really notice or don't really care if they do notice that extra $1 or $2. And just, you're already selling the product. That doesn't change. You already like the product. That doesn't change. You're already using it. It's a repurchase. And how quickly it can add up. You experienced that at your salon. What did you notice?
Well, so I think the one thing that I always want is in my mind, I'm competing with like, you know, Amazon or Ulta Beauty or a direct, you know, like a certified distributor online or something like that. And they are faceless companies that can drive down their shipping costs, and they can buy in massive bulk to get discounted products, where I'm doing these small orders 1 week at a time, maybe 2 weeks out, maybe even, you know, if I've really got my ordering under control, 4 weeks out, and stocking inventory, and it really helping sort of offset a little bit of savings there by ordering in bulk. But for the most part, as a small business, we cannot stock a warehouse full of product to get it cheaper. And so I think what I have to get out of the mindset of, and what you really walked me through, is that it's not about saying like, you know, our job as salon owners or stylists is not to say, you know what, you can get it cheaper on Amazon, like, or you can get it cheaper over here on this website. Or our job is to say, hey, we are an expert. We're going to put this in your hand today. You can have the instant gratification by walking out of the salon with a product in your hand. And you can also have the convenience of the person you trust the most with your hair being the one that's selling it to you. Because
that's an example of a profitable attitude.
Right.
Does that make sense? So the attitude is, they aren't my competition.
Right.
Yeah, you can get this stuff multiple places.
Right.
Yeah, that is what it is. You're buying it here and now. And like study after study shows, consumers don't shop that way. We have like that one loud client that has like scarred us. Yes. That does shop that way. And they're like, they have created our attitude of the situation, as opposed to what life really is like. And 99% of people love us to death and just want some hairspray, man.
Yeah. And honestly, if at the end of the day, I'm checking out and I get it $2 cheaper over here, I can have it today here, I want it today. Yeah. So let's not make those assumptions. That's what you really taught me. Don't make those assumptions that's how your customer's thinking.
So what happened when you all upped your retail price? What happened in your business? Did it explode and melt down? And did everybody like throw a fit and leave?
No one noticed, which is the best thing possible, right? That it ended in a result where, you know, we're seeing more money, the salon's seeing more money, the stylists are seeing more money. It's a win-win-win-win. And not a single customer was like, hey, this was 50 cents more when I checked out. And so I think it's just something to really consider. We've got a lot of these little leverage points we can pull as salon owners. So this is just one of the things that you're going to be talking about in your class, right?
Oh yeah, it could be a whole day's worth of stuff. And then in addition, there's going to be a whole like list of boring things we're not going to talk about that you just get to take home. Yeah. Like here's just like a monthly kind of checklist of some cleaning up that either you can do as the salon leader, or like some of it you can pass off to other people. It's just so some of those profitable things aren't slipping through your fingers.
And that's why I think that term, that class title, Hitting Profits, is making a lot more sense to me now. Is because what you're suggesting is that all that's there, it's already happening. Mm-hmm. These are not new things we need to implement. These are not things that we need to say like, okay, we've got to have a big culture shift, or we're going to start like you said, this isn't like pricing or anything like that. This is literally stuff that's already there that as salon owners, if we just apply these 5 to 10 to 15 things, like they can add up massively.
Well, and what I think happens is when you see those things adding up, then there are some big changes that are cultural shifts that can make big changes profitability wise in your business. I mean, there are some things that like, yeah, it might cause a staff member to leave or a client to leave. Like there are big things that exist. And I think we hear about those, and maybe that's something you should do in 2 or 3 years. Why don't we take a few bites first? Yeah. And why don't we, you know what I mean? Like experience what it means to have a more profitable business, because sometimes it'll give us the courage to make the change that we always wanted. And sometimes it'll give us the insight that change might not be worth it. Yeah. It goes both ways. And that's what I mean about a profitable attitude. Yeah. It's like, we love what we do and we're deeply creative people. We are in business for a reason. And that reason is to bring profitability back to our home. And that profitability gives us freedom. And that freedom is to make choice. And so it's really just kind of layering back of what are the choices and what are some options we might not have thought of, because once you're in your own salon bubble, it does not matter if I'm talking to a hairdresser or a manager or salon owner. Once you're in your bubble, you tend to get really good staying there. And that's what like an event like Hair Camp and talking about these types of attitudes is so important, because it really just sharpens your own creativity to be challenged on what you think is normal.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Paula.
I'm so excited for Hair Camp.
I'm so excited. Teach us everything you know, okay?
Well, last thing I have to say.
Talk to me.
If you're coming to Hair Camp as a group, what you get is me is your personal group concierge. So I'm going to make sure to walk you through what classes you're picking, what, you know, that it works really right for everybody, what cabin, how it works, like all the things. So if you're deciding to bring, hey, I got 3 people, I got 10 people, I got 12 people. Hey, can we have a whole cabin to ourselves? How much is a yurt if I have 20 people? It'll be me directly helping you out, and I'd be thrilled to do so.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, Paula, thanks for being on here today. We're excited to just learn where all those profits are hidden at. Okay.
Sounds great.
Awesome. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much. We will see you soon.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, salon owners, listen, you're not on your own. We are here for you. We want to see you grow. We've got a next guest. I want to get her on here because I'm chomping at the bit to see her face here on the screen here in a second. We get to work with new artists all the time. We get to work with up and coming artists. This person I would absolutely put in the legend category. She has been responsible for, you know, how like when you're playing rock and roll and you're like, hey, this song, you know, I play this music. Maybe it was like the Beatles that ultimately inspired you. Let's just say this next guest is the equivalent of that for our industry. She's been involved in massive creation with product lines across the board. She's going to tell us all about that. She also launched her own line a few years ago called Color Space, and she is absolutely crushing it. So, ladies and gentlemen, people of Hair Camp, Lupe Voss.
Thank you for that introduction.
You like that intro?
Yeah.
What's up, Lupe? How are you?
Rocker chick, yeah.
Rocker chick, right? Yeah. The inspirer herself. Hello there, Lupe. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm watching what's happening and it's amazing. I am so honored to go to the camp this year. I'm excited. I'm really
I know that is true because we had a phone call our first time we connected, and I was just like, I've got to pitch this lady. I've got to convince her that like this crazy idea that she's probably not going to want to do, like that she's going to want to do it. And then I get done and she's like, all right, I'm in. What do we need to do? Like there was no.
brilliant. I'm at heart. So anything to share, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Sharing is the funnest.
Lupe. Humble brag. Give us a 30-second bio. Like I want to hear like just a little bit about just give us the humble brag. Go for it. No one's gonna judge you for it.
Been doing hair 43 years. Had a salon 33 years. Been playing bass. Been teaching for 28 years. Was North American art director for a current company that I used to work for 34 years, and then I partnered up with my amazing partner, Ray Chavello from Canada, and we started a hair color company. So we are going to be 2 years old, January 11th. So our birthday's coming up, and I'm actually teaching today.
I know you are. Thank you for doing this for us as well.
Anything for you, I swear. So, and I'm going to be with you guys in April.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we talk a lot about like mentors and finding older, wiser people to slot yourself under because they've got so much experience. You are filled with experience, everything from like the top down, right? And so, man, I'm so excited to learn from you. I'm just excited to be in the same room with you in a few months, just because I just think there's just so much to glean from like just the touches and reps you've had with hair in our industry.
We're gonna have fun. We are gonna focus on a chapter of what it is that we do with color.
Yeah.
We're gonna focus on the chemistry.
Yeah.
I do believe the experience that I've had a lot of experience, and that only means as a colorist, because I don't lie about color. I don't lie about really anything, especially in our industry, because we need to elevate as teachers, everybody. So our experience, the only reason why I do believe that I'm as experienced as I am is because I screwed up a lot. And then if anyone tells you they get their color right every single time, no. There's times, but see, that's where we learn, and that's where the experience comes. So our chapter that we're gonna do when I'm there is gonna be chemistry.
Awesome.
And I know, I'm really excited about it. And I'm going to give the teams information on what they're using, not just in their line, but across the board in our industry, so that they can make a decision if they're using the right product and it's performing the way they need to. And that has to do with the chemistry. I'm going to share with them how to swatch out properly without using hair. So I'm going to have the teams bring in their favorite color, their favorite formula, and we're going to swatch it out so that they can see it. I'm going to give them options of what to use instead of hair, because we don't know where some of this hair is being harvested from. And
Sure.
There's people that are actually being trafficked for their hair, and I want to get rid of that.
Awesome.
So mindful way of what we're using, why we're using it, why it works the way it does, to make sure that they're making the right choice. If they're using an ammonia product, ammonia-free product, a demi product, breaking down the alkalizers, ammonia, MEA, AMP, are 3 choices in our industry, and why.
Mm-hmm.
And doing a lot of chemistry. I want the chemistry part. I was told, I had a mentor one time that said, quit teaching them what's in the tube, just teach them how to use it. That's the only thing that they're here for. And I thought, is that really elevating our industry?
Yeah. Okay. Well, where are my color nerds at? If you're out there, give me a whoop whoop. Because Lupe is gonna sounds like we're going to school with Lupe Voss on
the team is gonna leave in the
I love it. We're gonna have our masters in coloring. You brought up a point. One of the things I say is, you talk to doctors and they say, I practice medicine. I practice hair color. That's how I feel. I've never mastered it. I'm always going to be working at it. And what I'm hearing is that someone who I, has been a big idol and a hero of mine in the color world for so many years. You're saying the same thing.
Yeah. I think I do believe mastering it, we can master that client that day, but even if it's beautiful, I always take a step back, because I still do clients. I have to still do clients. I step back and I think, what can I do next time to make this beautiful, more, elevate this?
Yeah.
Even if it's perfect and it came out the way I wanted it to. So I'm always practicing. You are correct. Practice.
Yeah. Well, Lupe, listen, hey, I know you've got a lot going on today. I can't even believe that you gave us time today. Thank you so much.
I built time for you around. I'm teaching right now.
I know. Well, tell them thank you on behalf of Hair Camp and Sam Hill. So, listen, we cannot wait to see you in April. I cannot wait for our campers to get to experience what it's like to learn from you. It's a really special treat. So thank you for saying yes. And we'll see you just in a few short months.
Yes. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Thanks, Lupe. Man. Yeah. Listen, Lupe is incredible. Just Google her name. She probably has a Wikipedia page. That's my goal one day, is to have a Wikipedia page that chronicles all of my accomplishments. It would be really lame. So, but I know that Lupe, she's just, it's really fun, because what we're trying to do is we've got these fresh educators that are young and they are pushing sort of these creative bounds, but then also partnering with educators that have just an unbelievable amount of experience. And every year we try to provide that for you guys. So Lupe is going to be that for us. Come hang out at Hair Camp. Holy cow, Lupe Voss. Okay, listen, we know one of the things that we say at Hair Camp is we are just as much about what you're doing with these things and what you're doing with this stuff as we say, as we're about what you're doing with this, which is your heart. And we know if you are not a whole person, you're not going to be able to show up to the salon and do the work that you want to do and be passionate and be connected and be creative. Because if you're operating from a place of burnout, if you're operating from a place of instability, if you're tired, if your mental health is at risk, then you're not going to be able to show up at all. And what we want to do is we want to be able to create an environment where not only do we grow creatively and technically, but we also grow emotionally, mentally, as well. So this past year, we had the pleasure of connecting with our next guest. Her name is Liz Higgins. She's a therapist out of Texas, and she is unbelievable. She really speaks to what it's like to work as a creative, to work as a person who's constantly outputting, and really just kind of working with the public in the service industry, and how we can do things that help protect ourselves to show up more wholly, right? That we can set up, we can show up better for not only for our clients, but our coworkers. If you're a salon owner, you can show up for your team, and the impact you have on the leadership and the culture of the salon. And maybe if you're, when you head home and you get in the car and you got to show up for a spouse or a significant other or kids. Liz is unbelievable. And so she's going to be our keynote speaker both nights at Hair Camp. She's got an unbelievable amount of wisdom. And so we're going to have her on right now to talk to us a little bit about who she is and what she's going to be doing at Hair Camp. Hello, Liz. How are you?
Hi, Sam. It's so good to see you. I'm
Great
still coming down from following after this legend you just
I know, Lupe
did.
Voss. Come on.
I'm like, I can tell I'm going to be surrounded by these phenomenal
It is.
influencers of your industry.
It's so fun.
Incredible.
It's so fun. It's such, I can't wait for you to be there. Also, listen, you're not a hairstylist, a salon owner. How do you feel about stepping in this crazy world?
I'm not. I was telling my sisters that I was doing this earlier, and my older sister was like, "You should have had me do your hair for this thing." Probably should have, but
no judgment. No judgment.
no, it's all good. I mean, the fact that you guys have prioritized bringing in somebody such as me, a licensed therapist, a mental health professional, and for those that didn't see the chat that I had the opportunity to do with you guys in May, I'm actually a couples therapist too, so very relationally focused therapist.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away that you have prioritized, putting a bridge between your industry and what Hair Camp is all about, and the craft element of what you all do, and just the importance, and not just importance, but relevance of mental health and emotional wellness. And what I love to talk about, relational health, because it's all so interconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Liz, we had the pleasure of learning from you back in May. We know you're going to be speaking with us both nights at Hair Camp, but you've also want to talk to our community today, right?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about.
Yeah, well, things are still obviously in the works, and I'm sure between now and April, I will just be flowing with more and more ideas of things I want to do. And I'm one of those people where, I think that on a stage speaking to your community, it'll be so fun to just do some experiential things together, not just sit there and kind of be fed from a fire hose with all this data and information, but to actually have this felt sense and, kind of leave Hair Camp with this understanding, like in your heart, in your soul, in your body, of like what you uniquely need to feel like you have a mental wellness plan as you go, as you continue on in 2023 and beyond. I'm a therapist by trade, right? But I'm also a practice owner. I manage the practice here in Dallas. We have a staff of about 9 therapists right now. So I totally get that feeling of like caring about what you do, wanting to be the best at what you do, really honing in on the values of who you are as a stylist, an employee, or a contractor, or a salon leader, like whatever it is that your role is, right? The passion that's in all that. But then like not wanting to do all that at the cost of your sense of self at the end of the day, your mental wellness. And I just want to like say a few words. I was thinking about like what I would talk about today, but I just even saw myself starting this out by saying like, I can't see anybody that's listening right now, but if you're listening, do you relate to these words? Driven, creative, entrepreneurial, intrapreneurial, perfectionist, people pleaser, anxious, depressed, lonely, burnt out, maybe hero, kind of ties in with perfectionist, right? But those of us that are in service-based industries that, like you said earlier, Sam, output so much, we have to learn to prioritize the ways that we can get a little more introspective and really understand what's going on inside of us. Because we're also living in this time where, at least in my field, mental health and emotional wellness and stuff, there's a lot of fast fixes. There's a lot of like, let's just diagnose this thing and like get a fix so that you feel better. And it's like a blessing and a curse, right? Because to be in a time where we have access to resources that really can help us with certain things, which is phenomenal, we don't want to forget to do that deeper legwork of really listening into our bodies, to what the racing thoughts might actually be trying to let us in on. And I think honestly, a lot of times our bodies will tell us way before we even realize that we're not okay. And medical professionals will look at like symptoms that you're having. We tend to, hone in first on things like anxiety, depression, personality disorders, just different kinds of diagnoses, right? But even once you've assessed all that and figured out, like, yeah, I am so burnt out. I have compassion fatigue. I can't output anymore. I can barely sleep. I'm not eating. I'm not taking care of me anymore. And I'm anxious as you know what. When all that's said and done, like the work that you end up doing is like that deeper introspective, like, reset, and really tuning into the wisdom of your body, right? I think we can get really frustrated with things like burnout and anxiety and the actual symptoms that we are feeling because we're just doing so much that we actually can get really self-critical about it. We can be really hard on ourselves. And as a therapist, I tell my husband all the time, this profession has like, saved me and changed my life in a lot of ways, because I've been able to imperfectly cultivate a practice where I can really listen to what's happening inside of me and not just try to push through for the sake of doing more, being more, contributing more, but like, oh yeah, like I really do need to come first here. Otherwise, there will be nothing to give. There will, I'm sure everybody can relate to this pandemic did some interesting favors to the business world, but then didn't do a lot of favors for a lot of us, right? And so burnout and just parenting and trying to do all the things. I was on a straight shot, fast train to disaster, to be totally honest. I didn't think I would come out making it with my practice even. I was like, what, this is it, it was bad, right? So definitely have that felt experience of just how far that can go before you have to stop. And you don't want to have to hit rock bottom, to acknowledge, whoa, maybe I need to revisit the way I'm prioritizing my boundaries with work, my self-worth practice, which connects into like self-esteem and taking care of you. And this is a little more beyond just like a mani-pedi at the end of a week or once a month, right? It's like a day-to-day, sometimes minute-to-minute practice to really tend to your needs. And those are all the solutions from my perspective that I want to talk to everybody about at Hair Camp, so that they leave with a toolkit and it's not just like, here's data and information on your, mental wellness today, emotional wellness today, but hey, here's like a template for a whole new way of being with yourself and in yourself that can actually improve your mental wellness, your relationships, how you're showing up each day, how you're feeling on the inside. And so I'm just a very solution-driven person. And I think that's probably what your community here wants, is like, all right, tell me what I could do and show me the way. And I'm more than just a cheerleader for this stuff. I am 1,000% a co-traveler. I'm a wounded healer. So I embrace my imperfection in all this. And what I just love about your group and Hair Camp is that everybody seems to lead with that, right? The minute you start saying, you've got it all figured out, you've done it all, there's no more to learn, there's no more to cultivate, you've really lost. And so it's just so fun watching, the speakers and just everybody that's involved in this kind of lead with that authenticity. And I was listening to Paula talk a little bit, a few minutes back, and she was really describing like that abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset, even in business decisions and money decisions and stuff like that. And I really want to help ignite that in listeners at Hair Camp. Just this reality that like you're enough as you are right now, and so let's just kind of get real, get level with each other, and look at what you maybe uniquely need to get yourself to that best version place.
Okay. Wow. That's okay. Liz,
Did I make sense? I ask clients that a lot. I'm like, am I making sense here?
so what I hear you saying is don't
Oh,
separate.
you're like a therapist.
I'm doing reflective listening, Liz. I've paid attention to what you've taught me. So what I'm hearing you say is that we can't get away with separating our self, our home self, or our work self, or our friend self, or our creative self. Like you're saying all those things are connected.
I mean, absolutely.
And so what is the danger when we start to deny that? And what is the danger that lies ahead when we start to say like, listen, I'm going to leave this at work, or I'm going to like, what ends up happening if we don't connect all of those pieces?
Well, at the risk of sounding very therapist-y, it's like that's where the symptoms will begin to manifest, right? So you start to feel that burnout. You start to feel those plaguing things of like, hey, why doesn't anybody care about me? When is the last time people actually checked in on how I was doing, right? Especially for those high achieving, perfectionistic performers that are often just scoping out and doing for others and just stepping in and getting stuff done constantly. It really can kind of crack down into this like much more painful, vulnerable place of like, why doesn't anybody care about me? And leading to these feelings of isolation and loneliness, which I think just even on a wider scale, right? In our media, it's like, think about Twitch. He just came to my mind really quick, right? It's like these people that are performing and just doing and over functioning, and we think that they're totally okay, are absolutely not. And so when we start denying the needs of different parts of ourselves, or saying like, oh, I can handle it, or I'm just leaving it at work, I'm just going to compartmentalize. A lot of very high achieving, high performing clients that get really good at compartmentalizing, but then it's like, why do I feel so empty deep down at the end of the day?
Yeah.
But we really can't function that way. And there is data and research that's showing the importance of going in and like integrating all the parts of ourselves and learning to live more authentically from that base point.
Man, yeah. I mean, I would say, I don't know if the rest of our community is feeling this way, but from my experience, just, really challenged with some of this work around identity and just where do I look for that? Who am I? Because I think what ended up happening over the past few years is a lot of those things that I came to rely on were redefined by the world and what happened with the world. And so I think what I just realize is if I don't recognize those things and those instances or those woundings or those times where an expectation wasn't met, and really process through that I'm into, it's like chipping away at me, right? It's sort of chipping away at me, and I feel like a less whole version of myself. And so I think like then when I show up to work and I'm expected to have a happy face on, or really be creative, get into my like creative vibe, or like lead a team of people, I'm like grasping for this like well that feels empty and dry, right?
Right.
And so I've, there's no overflow because it's sort of slowly been dwindled away. And so, in your work that you're doing right now with, clients and leaders and, people that you help coach and train, and work through their mental health stuff with, are you seeing this as a common experience? And if so, what do you feel like are just some really just initial steps that we can do to really start to recognize this and get into a healthier place?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I absolutely am, right? And I think that we can use that term like just this collective reckoning that has kind of been happening the last few years, right? And I mean, I think all it takes is kind of scrolling on whatever social media platform for a couple minutes a day to throw you back into this spiral of like uncertainty and just upheaval and change. And it's just like things feel different than they were at other points in our lives, right? So that's very real. And I certainly do see that come out in that safe, private space of therapy where clients are just kind of putting it all out there and like, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, I mean, every single person, every human that is listening to this call is doing the one thing I would like recommend more than anything, and it's reconnecting in community
Hmm.
to something really good for you, to something really healthy.
Yeah.
That's something I committed to myself this last year was I branched out of my industry a little bit and joined a coaching community for entrepreneurs, and it's like a small 6-person cohort thing. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna do this. And holy smokes, like the just vulnerability and authenticity that shows up in that space just once a month has been like totally shifted. It's shifted so much for me and just pulled me back into a really secure space where I can just show up fully and bring all the stuff, all the crap, all the challenges, all the difficulties, all the wins, all the celebrations, and it's doing wonders. So like everybody that's about to participate at hair camp and my gosh, carve out like a whole weekend to just kind of tend to themselves and soak in and receive. That is honestly what I would encourage most people to do is like get reconnected, whether it's a community or a group of friends or somebody you lost touch with that is a healthy influence for you, a healthy relational platform. That's really where the healing begins.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's so many stories over the past few years from hair camp where people have done that. Like whether it's a group of stylists that connected creatively and they went back and they were doing something together, or people that felt like on their own, the friendships that have kind of blossomed and stayed true beyond the weekend. Like it doesn't just stay at camp. My personal experiences through hair camp, I was able to discover a group of 5 of us that are all salon owners or in the industry. And we were in the rhythm of meeting once a month, and we did that for 2 years. And that was that was probably the most influential. That had some of the most influential impact on my just not only at work but my person, like me as a person, that over that course of that 2 years is unbelievable. But that all came through finding people through hair camp that were like-minded. So yeah, I mean, I am all about what you're talking about. I think what's really great, one of the questions that popped on the screen here is just talk about a template for these topics. These, recognizing them is so important. I know that what you're going to be teaching and speaking about at hair camp, are you going to lay out that template for us of how we can take action with some of this stuff?
I definitely want to. And just even given that question, it sounds like that's probably what people would like to walk away from the experience with, So, I mean, I'm influenced by so many different frameworks and methods and all these kinds of things. So for me, you're really getting the Liz version, or even at my practice here in town, Millennial Life Counseling, we call it the MLC way. We're just constantly cultivating and shaping this stuff. But yeah, I mean, as far as that template, it's definitely a holistic look into you, your story, what has shaped you, what's helped influence the way you've learned to show up relationally. And I don't even just mean like, I definitely do mean in relationships with others, but even like just this internal kind of framework that you operate from, in yourself, just inside of stress or adversity or challenging situations, right? Because I mean, let's be honest, like even for those of us that do have some of those diagnosed mental health experiences, right? Like where things really get difficult and skewed and out of whack is usually under high stress, situations where we are in that hypervigilant body state, and we're starting to lose it. So I want to help give people a framework to understand, like, how do I even know when I need to pursue like assistance or support or help, or that something is happening with me that's out of the norm? So many times people are just functioning in burnout and they think it's normal.
Yeah.
And just again, bridging in some of my own personal experience, like I decided as I was feeling more and more and more burnout over the last few years, like I made new commitments to myself, some of which that really protected me, taking care of my mental wellness and my family before everything else, right? So I started to define different boundaries, and I will be talking with the community about boundaries and how to begin that practice, right? And then those other pieces of like self-work, self-esteem, all that kind of stuff that will contribute to improving your mental and emotional wellness.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I am so excited for our community to learn from you. You're truly an expert. I know you've dedicated your life to really understanding just that connection between just life and ourselves. And so we're excited for you to take us there. Yeah, it's going to be so great to have you at camp. Also, you not being a hairstylist or a salon owner, thanks for stepping into this crazy world with us. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. So,
if anybody wants to practice on my main between,
that's right. Liz is a candidate for a great hair model. We'll have Andy do a fluorescent orange shag mullet on you. How's that sound?
Oh my, that would be
fun. Well, Liz, thank you so much for being here today. Just always love connecting with you, and you really do bring us back to like this deeper why. And you make us face it. And sometimes it's hard to face these things, but man, we come out the other side better for it. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. We'll all be leaning in together, and I'm just so excited to be a part of helping to facilitate that. So I can't wait to see you guys.
So cool. All right. Well, listen, we will see you soon, Liz. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything between now and then. And we'll see you in April. Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Awesome.
Sam.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks for coming on today. Man, yeah, I just, if you look at our tagline on our Instagram and our bio, or, if you get on our website and dive into this, like that connection between hair and hearts, it cannot not exist. We cannot continue to push through and not take a hard look at that. We've all been through stuff, and all that stuff affects us. And so when we have these expectations of ourselves that like, man, we want to show up, we want to win, we want to be successful, we want to be the best version of ourselves. It takes having a deep connection with what's going on here, or else you will not achieve those goals. I promise you. So that's so important. And we're excited. Liz is going to be with us this year, taking us there. So, come and get more deeply connected with your heart at Hair Camp. All right. Little setup for our next guest. Love this woman. She's amazing. She is just a friend that I've known for since we've gotten started this through association in the beginning, because we connected through a mutual friend named Miss Jolie. But Meg Moran is our next guest here today. She is just an unbelievable colorist from the Northeast, doing really rad work, and has influenced our industry to look at the way that hair color and it moves and it glides and it has dimension in hair so differently. I love the influence she has. If you don't follow her already, please do. But let's get Meg on the screen now.
Hello.
Yo, what is up, Meg?
Oh, just waiting for you.
I love it. Well, welcome to the Digital Bonfire today.
Thank you. Would it help if I flipped my screen?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to do that for us?
Let's try.
Jason, our producer, says yes. There it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Back, because this isn't the first time we have connected, is it?
No,
it's not. You've been a part of the Hair Camp crew we're coming up on 2 years now, right?
Yeah. And forever, because I love Hair Camp.
Well, Hair Camp loves you, Meg. Okay, so I want a little background before we dive into sort of we get too hyper focused here. Tell us a little bit about you. Where are you right now? Literally, and then where are you as a stylist? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
So I am a mom of 2, most important. I'm in Connecticut. I'm in my suite right now. I have been doing hair coming up on 10 years this year. Oh my God, I keep forgetting it's 2023. Yeah, coming up this year. But I have been a salon owner for 3 years. Well, long story, but
yes, salon owner for 3 years.
Salon owner for 3 years. Suite owner for like just temporary right now for the next maybe 2 months. But I'm an educator. I've been educating for, I want to say 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
I think close to 5.
I love educating. Like sometimes I feel like I pour myself more into other people than I do like my own growth. But that's what I love about the industry. Like I personally love helping people grow and watching them grow and seeing them succeed and be happy. And like, then I'm like, oh shit, I should probably like post for myself or like try to put myself out there. But it's like, I feel like I've grown myself to a point where I've felt super comfortable kind of being steady in my consistency. And that's like where I've been at the past like couple years, is really just like helping people grow and allowing them to shine and see themselves and like just unlock something that they've never felt before. So that's why I love hair camp too, because it truly like embodies that.
Yeah.
Like it's that whole sense of community. Like it, like when people say hair camp changed your life or their life, they mean it. Like I'll say that till I die. Like it's truly like, I don't know how you guys do it and like market to the people who truly love that and like want that and share that too. But it just works and it's amazing. And I'm counting the days down till I'm back.
Let's go. Let's well, thank you for that. Yeah. I mean, listen, Meg is just unbelievable. So glad that you feel that way, man. That means a lot. Okay. So you are going to be teaching a technique today, aren't you?
I am. Also, I wanted to shout out to Rachel for working with you because she's the best.
Okay. Yeah. Shout out to Rachel. Okay. So that's right. Rachel was your,
she was my assistant last year. Yeah.
Backstory. If you're wondering who Rachel is, Rachel was Adrian's story.
Love Adrian too.
Yeah. Was Adrian's story last year with Meg. Rachel now works at High Five and she is crushing it as our apprentice. So, just goes to show, right? Hair camp builds dreams. Okay.
It really does.
So shameless self-promotion there. Okay. So Meg, listen, I don't want to take any more time. We've got time to talk on the back end. I'm going to give you the screen.
Perfect.
Please give us as much as you got, because learning from you is an absolute gift. Okay.
Got it.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
You got this.
Well, I'm going to be here. I'm not leaving. So today I want to show you guys a little like just foiling trick. I will be teaching foils in my sessions at hair camp. I love foiling personally. I feel like I do a lot of foiling, a lot of balayage. I probably do mainly like 80% foils. They're forever. Foils are forever, right? Like you will always need it in every scenario, but there's so many ways to do it. So this is my lovely model. I don't know her name, but let's call her like Sasha because she looks pretty fierce. So I have already sectioned her. Let me take her off of this so you can just kind of see up close. So I have sectioned her off just so you guys can see. I'm not doing a whole head, but I have 2 sections here and then a whole back. This is it from the top. So I have 2 triangles. This whole section up here basically created that triangle and our squares in the back. So it basically flat 2 points. And our sides, I mean, if you can see it underneath the clips, are pretty small. But the reason that I love doing this is because the sides are really where like the money piece is, right? That's where you're going to see that face frame. You're going to see all of that. So having these distinctive sections makes it quick. I can't spend an hour foiling like it. I just can't. I need the speed. So these sections right here are going to give us exactly that. And also the brightness that we need. So sometimes when you think about, you know, doing a face frame piece, you're going to start here and do some foils. You'll do some foils. Maybe you'll take a mohawk section, start in the middle and go back, and kind of vice versa, you know, on the same side. I'm not going to do these corners because I really want to focus on the top. I feel like that is where a lot of people get lost. So on the sides, I would probably just take sections and kind of bring them forward and foil them as needed. Now, these sections are so fun to do, and they're basically like mini triangles too. A little bit more longer, but because we're bringing it so far back to the end of the head, our coverage is more full. So we're gonna start with going directly across and pulling this down. Mannequin head hair is so thick, so I really need to get this pretty thin. And then I also want to show you an awesome little trick on how to make your face frame piece stand out with a little bit of a low light. So we're going to take our first section, and I am going to baby weave that. Just like a little baby light. Now there's two ways that you can go about doing this. You can foil the piece that lays right in the front, or you can foil in the back. Me personally, I love dimension in the face frame. I never do slices because when they put their hair up, it's solid. When they put their hair down, it's solid too, but the grow out, you don't get that good dimension on the interior as their natural grows out. So I'm actually going to foil that back piece. I should probably be working a little bit more smarter. Let's move this around. So we're gonna lie this baby down. And I wanna show you also, get a little closer so you guys can see how I'm blending this foil. So we're always gonna start just right in the middle, load all of our product on. And I also say this too when I balayage because you don't wanna put product right to the root. One, lightener swells. So I don't want to get any bleed marks. I want it to be seamless. I don't want it to look just like a big stripe. So I'm just gonna fill up that midsection with my lightener first. Make sure it's saturated everywhere. Going a little more vertical with my brush to kind of pull the hair down. Now, there's two ways that you can go about doing this. Moving the product up very softly. Now, when you're going, you're not gonna push the product on. You're lightly feathering it. Do you see the difference with the way of the pressure of the brush that I'm doing? You can either push through the hair or you can kind of swipe and move the product around. Now, I really want to have that nice seamless grow out. And also, I feel like with foils, you know, it's foil lightener, so wherever you put it, that's how it's going to lift. If you're not saturating right at that area, you're not going to get that lift. So we're not looking for like orange to bright, pale yellow blonde. I still want it to be the same amount of lift each way. It's just a matter of how I'm blending it. So I'm going to also take the corner of my brush and just move those hairs down. I am not going also all the way to the root. I'm leaving this little bit there. So you can kind of see it is diffused, but it's saturated. And she's not gonna have a problem at all with it growing out. I think a lot of people, when they go to a stylist and they recommend foils instead of a balayage look that's a little bit more easy to tell them that it's going to be a little bit more seamless, or they see pictures and they're like, I want a balayage, but they're not a good candidate for balayage. foils are the way to go. But people get scared of foil lines. But if you do them seamlessly, you don't have to worry about it. So our next section, I'm going to take the same horizontal slice in the back. Now you can do a tease if you want to keep it a little bit more brighter without having too much dimension. You could do that. It depends how bright they want their face frame, how blonde they are naturally, but you can tease, you can weave, you can do whatever you want. I personally am just going to do another baby light because sometimes with teases, they get a little bunchy at the root, and when I'm trying to go bright around the face, I don't want to see dimension there because they're going to have their hair grow out in a few months, and they're already going to have that. So I don't want them to lead with it. Now we can use that teasing technique for our last foil if we feel to keep that dimension. That's how you can kind of branch off from your face frame going into your foil everywhere else. So that way you don't have too much foiling where you brighten up too much and the face frame you can't even tell because it just blends right in. So we're just gonna do the exact same thing that we did with that piece and just saturate and then blend. And you don't want too much product on your brush when you're blending. You really just want to use the product that's on the hair already. And also a good tip when you are doing weaves like this, you want to take that front weave closest to your part because that's going to be the one they see. If you leave that out as depth, it basically defeats the purpose of your face frame. So just remember that. Now we're going to do one more. Same thing, weave, and I will show you where that leaves us as far as how far back we are in the section. So now we've kind of reached that center point where if you were to just go around the head, it's all going to be connected. But our next section after that is going to be how we are going to break up our face frame. I love doing back-to-back weaves, or baby lights I mean. I don't take super, super, super thick weaves. They're very, very, very small. But the farther back that I go, I'll take wider weaves, if that makes sense. So instead of taking like little baby weaves where it's almost basically a slice, I start to branch them out a little farther and farther. So we kind of get a little bit more dimension horizontally in between. Now I'm not worrying about my depth underneath with the section that I'm taking because I still want my section size to be on the smaller side because we're kind of building in brightness next to each other without just slapping in slices. And there's a million different ways that you can do face frame foils. It all depends on your client, depends on how comfortable you are with foils and their natural, their texture, just everything in between. All right, now going from there with our section, this is how it's going to save you time. So we're going to turn her without knocking you guys over. And we're going to follow our section up horizontally, but from the front, it's going to look vertically when we go forward. We're almost creating sheets of color rather than ribbons. Now this is where you're going to get a little bit more creative with how you want to place your blonde with what your client wants. I personally love to do teases. I love to do weaves with it. I'm taking 3 big weaves and then dropping those out. And I'm going to lay that right where the middle of her hair is. Now, I want to create, like I said before, with creating depth horizontally and vertically, this section that I just leaved out with these two, that's going to be our underneath depth and vertically. But now I'm thinking of everything that's going to fall over on top. And I want to create a little hole here of depth. So as we go higher, and that's where the client actually sees the hair, will be brighter, because we don't want her to leave looking already rooted unless that's, you know, something that she wants. But we can utilize our depth in that area. So I'm just going to take 3 just horizontal sections. And now I just did 3 weaves underneath. I'm going to do 3 weaves, but in the opposite way that we just did underneath, if that makes sense. So these pieces that I just took, I replicated them as her depth. So that way we're not creating the same brightness as we go up, unless your client wants to be more solidly all over brighter and more uniform. I want her to be more dimensional everywhere. I want her to pull through her hair and see all this beautiful color. If she wants to part her hair half up, half down, she has a little brightness here, a little depth here, and it's kind of just unique to her. That's the beauty of foiling. It is one of my favorite things to do. And for me personally, I have a lot of clients who are dimensional. So working with placements that I could use everywhere, as far as if they want to be super rooted, if they want to be super bright, but they want some lowlights here and there. I feel like blonde trends are happening right now, but depends on the client. Like, I'll have some clients that are super blonde and they're like, I want to be blonde, but not brunette. So there's that fine line. So some foiling, some lowlights are great. So up here, I'm going to take just very, very, very soft weaves. Now, very important, this section right here that I just took, see how I left this little piece out right in the front? It's because I want to show you a good way to make your face frame piece stand out even more. So that section right there, this little piece is directly behind your face frame, where your last face frame piece was. So we're gonna move this weave out of the way. And now remember, these sections on the side are just your interior. We didn't even get to the top. I'm gonna explain a few different ways that you can use that section, but for now, I want to show you how you can use a low light to make your face frame piece stand out even more than just what you already did. So I'm just going down basically right to the middle of her eye. That is where it like contours the most. So we're gonna keep some depth there to make those face frame pieces stand out tremendously. Now, if you want to go through and almost do this technique on each section that you already laid out, you can do that as well. And these are just, I would call them melted lowlights. I'm not going through the ends. I'm just placing it right in that mid area. And with this client, I would say, I'm only using a level 8. So I'm not going tremendously dark. I'm really just trying to mask a different tone to make her pieces around her face stand out a little bit more. Now, this is a tangle teaser. It has very fine bristles. So I'm just using the corner of it, and I'm just slightly blending. I'm just blending in that area, and then I'll comb it down. You can, if you feel that your client needs it, take some lightener and marry the two together. So you're almost creating a little bit more of that ombre effect on this section. But remember, in the middle, you don't want to overlap. So I'm just saturating just like I would be everywhere else and slowly blending up. I don't want to have them overlap where the lightener meets my color. We just want it to be very subtle. So your darker tones that I just did up here, it'll be darker with what we made. Her natural will lie a little bit in there, and then it'll get brighter. You're almost creating that interior tone without actually having to color it. And I always like to place a foil on top of where the low light was because I don't want my lightener to touch it. Then we're going to take this section. We're going to do the same thing that we just did before. Now, when you're teasing, you don't want to tease lying down because you're not going to really get much. You want to elevate it so you can pull all of that hair down. Do you see how much more tease I got there? And then you can position it back down and just lightly fluff it away. You don't want to comb it because you want to be able to brush it out easily for your client. So only a little bit. Doesn't take too much to do. And when you're teasing, you're not going like this a million times. You just want to go once and then create that tease by just simply moving it down. So we're going to move once. Let me just move that up a little bit. So we're going to push it down like so. And when you're holding it, you want to hold it to the shortest section. So mine's right here. So it doesn't go all the way to the tip of her hair. So I'm just going to push, readjust my finger position, use that tease, and just keep moving it down until I'm comfortable where I'm holding it, and then fluff it away. I'm going to do the same thing that we just did on the other sections. I'm just going to go a little bit higher. A little tip too is if you want to get that bright to less bright in the back, almost like that halo shape, instead of feeling like you have to figure out your sectioning, you have to figure out how to place the color from highest to lowest, you can apply your color, or not apply your color, elevate your section forward. If you do just a straight line across your section, then move your section back, it already creates it for you. Then you just have to blend it. If that is something that is a little bit difficult for you to master, or it's just saves you time that you know that you can elevate it a little forward and then don't have to worry about it afterwards, it's a good little trick to save you time. I want it to be a little bit brighter in the front because we are now getting higher up in the section. So we're just going to saturate all of that. Make sure everything's blended. And I am just using this little corner of my brush. So we're not going like this, we're just going like this. We're going to move that out of the way. And then you would repeat on the other side. Now, this section up here, there's so many ways that you can go about doing it. So this is your big triangle section. It basically covers the whole head. So depending on what your client wants, you can go through and just start going back, just like a mohawk section, except it gets wider towards the back. So when you think about that, you have a lot more depth to work with back here and less up here. So you have to worry about your section size, what kind of foils you're doing, if you're doing weaves, baby lights, teasy lights. There's so many things. But you can go through to help distinguish where your face frame is and then where you're strictly starting just the rest of of the color and taking about a 1/2 inch section of that point, lying it out, and then sectioning half of it off and leaving a slice behind it. So instead of slicing the lightness that will create a pretty harsh grow out, you leave a slice of depth where they already have that grow. It's just their natural, they're used to it. Or you can take that whole section and teasy light it and push all of it down, creating that depth on the top, but also depth on the interior with a little bit more of that seamless, like that air touch technique, I think it's called. And then just color that whole section and worry about where your placement of your foil lightener is, whether you want to go higher, whether you want to go lower. Make sure you have room for that transition area. And teasy lights are honestly like one of my favorite things to do, just for the purpose of creating dimension on the interior and exterior. You have so many ways to go about it. You don't have to slice and tease. I slice, tease, then weave, if that makes sense. Like I'll slice my section, tease it, then weave it. It kind of allows me to have the tease as my depth throughout all the strands, and then the weave ensures my depth on the sides, if that makes sense. I know that you guys were doing questions before, but I don't know where I can see them. And I don't know if there is any. I just see myself. But I do a lot of different foil placements on different people. And I feel like even sometimes with like brunettes, they want that super, super subtle foil look, right? So with this particular sectioning that I do with brunettes, instead of doing all of that I just did, I would probably say that's more for a blonde. I would do more sectioning as far as brightness goes in this area rather than in this area, because then you have kind of that middle ground of depth, and you have the brightness where you can kind of bring it around her face. You can allow those little ribbons here, and then here really just work on like a few pieces of brightness, because this interior is where they have a little bit more hair, opposed to all of our hairlines are a lot more finer. So when it comes to the back of the head though, look how big my section is. Now, the only reason that it's this big is because there's endless amounts of techniques you can do for the back. Time purpose is like when you're trying to save time, you want overall brightness, but everybody gets to the back last. Everybody, because it is, one, look at all that hair. That is just, you know, it's a little bit intimidating, you know, when you're like, where do I start? And then you start, and then it takes you like 45 minutes just to get halfway, and you're like, I am over foiling. So a little tip for you is to start in the back. I always start in the back because the back is exhausting. And personally for me, I like to rinse my foils. So I'll start in the back, get to the sides. I'll probably finish one side. The back will be done. I'll lay her in the sink, rinse that out, finish this other side. This side will have to be rinsed out, and then we have about 5-10 minutes to process the rest. So I'm pretty much with my client the whole time. But we're kind of focusing on also the health of the hair. So back of the head section, we're gonna almost do it in like a clock, if that makes sense. Because we're gonna focus on vertical sectioning when you're doing the back, because when you have more vertical section, you have more ribbons, you have giant pieces of color, and it saves less time. When you go horizontally, you're almost kind of creating coverage, but vertically you can do as well. So say you want to start here. This is also her hairline that you're going to be connecting to the front. So you're going to want to color all of this with some lightener, keeping depth, But as we go higher, we're going a little bit more vertical. Now we're going to be coloring all of this. And then vice versa on this side. And then you'll take all of those two sections that I just showed you, and you'll almost be left with another triangle. Maybe triangles are like my favorite shape. I think we just discovered that. I feel like I just like work so good in triangles. But so these pieces say are already done. You have this section left. You can go through again and do another vertical on the side, another one on this side, and now here you have all of that. So you could really take it fully up. I wouldn't take this big of a section, but if you do like 2 or 3, so you want to section them off and do 1 and then 2, 3, there is all of your coverage in the back. Now, all your pieces that you leave out, as far as the depth, if you're going to weave or if you're slicing and then taking the next section, you're going to do this. Let me section off a couple more before I run out of time. So say you took this section, and this section. So we colored out this section, but this was left as depth. So we're going to put this to the side, right? Then we slice this here and then left this out for depth. So now we have this whole section here, or these two sections, that we could take together at the end after foiling everything, tease them, and tip them out just mid to end. That way we have that interior depth to work with as all of our brightness covers over. Hopefully all of that made sense. What's nice about this section too is I'm going around her cowlick. So when everything falls,
Hi, Meg.
you already have that. And then it's connected all over the place. Hello, Sam.
Why are you so good at this?
I thank you for that.
I mean, so.
I think they're vacuuming outside. I'm sorry if it gets loud.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Oh, okay.
Your microphone must have good compression.
Oh, good.
Okay, so man, I just, the thing that I'm always blown away by is that how much thought goes into determining where sections go, how that then determines dimension, why when you sort of angle the hair the certain way that it creates this brightness or this shape. When you are learning to come up with these looks and like these custom highlights, how do you like come up with this?
Honestly, to be fair, I have no idea. I honestly am just like, I feel like I'm such a visual person, and I feel like I'm also like a control freak.
Okay.
So I feel like that I bring that into doing hair because I need it. Like each section, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
And as much as it's like, oh, it's just a section that's like, you know, right here, it's just going to do that. And it's like, there's so much more to it that it can do though, you know? And I think a lot of that when I teach. And when I do teach, I don't teach as far as this is the magic placement for you that you're going to do on every client, and this is what it's going to look like, and it's going to change your life.
Yeah.
I don't have a section like that's my go-to, or a placement that's like crazy. Like normally when I teach, I don't know what I'm teaching until I start teaching. Yeah. You know, like it's like I like to really give more of the information of the why, so you can take it with you and create it in your own way.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the beauty of hair, because there is no like right or wrong, and like I can learn from people can learn from me, and we're all just like giving information and sharing creative ideas, and we all get inspiration from every little thing that we see, you know?
I mean, so as you were teaching and talking, the one thing that I made this realization with that I've never really thought of is going to connect what you're saying is I do a lot of razor cutting on clients, right?
Yes.
And so razor cutting, like it's more of the technique to take hair off is using the razor, but you finish with this like this super diffused like textured hair. You can take
I
off.
actually bought my first razor, I think last year.
Congratulations. Did you buy like the actual, like not a feather razor, but like the actual razor, right?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Okay,
what it
great.
is. I think I just went to Cosmo and I was like so socially awkward that I was like, can I have a razor? And they just gave me a razor. And then I was like, one of my clients, I was like, can I do this? And she was like, yeah. And then I was like, wow, this is fun.
It's so fun. And if you're anything like me, keep a box of Band-Aids close, right?
Yeah. My hands are pretty like already cut up everywhere.
Yeah.
A part of my tattoo on my thumb is missing. Yeah, it's
oh my gosh. That's a chunk. So the thing that I realized is that, like you said, this isn't about like saying this is the Megan technique, right? Where you just, like you put it here, 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 and here. It's exactly the same thing. You get this result. You're like, here is this way of creating this dimension. Then what you do is you discover for your client and their hair texture and what you're wanting to achieve. Like you can put that in different places and placements. And that's what I love about watching you teach is that like you can apply it to any head, any hair texture, and you can either do more or less. And it really becomes this really customizable thing.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes too, like people like get so exhausted with foiling and they're like, oh my God, it's just the same. We're just going here, here. It's so repetitive.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like I love foiling. So I know when teaching foiling, it almost gets like annoying to watch when you're like, all right, next section is the same section. So it's like putting that thought into understanding where everything's going to go after that. I feel like is so important because things can change. You could look at someone's hair and you know what to do, but once you get in there, it might start changing as you go because you're like, one, you want to get more lazy with it because you've been foiling for 2 hours and you're like, what the hell? Or they may be like talking to you and they may be like, you know, I was thinking I want to be a little like super bright on the bottom. And you're like, I just did like your whole half head. So now where do I go?
Right.
You know, but I feel like foiling is just so fun and you can take it to just so many different areas.
Well, being a 90s kid and like so much of my style identity was in like the dimensional blondes that are like boom, 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 poppy.
I will share with you my like foil technique that I first did when I was in hair school.
Yes.
Because it was like Kelly Clarkson.
Yes.
But it was like perfect. At least back then. I can't remember exactly how it looks.
Come on, guys. Let's get with the program here.
See, my control freak in me, I can't do that on someone. Because I had a client that wanted something like more that way, and my body wouldn't allow me to do it.
Right.
It was so hard.
Well, so like, and I love that with foils. I love that you're working a lot of foils, especially like more lately, because it gives you that heat and that control to really like put this like super dimensional piece in. Like you can make it pop in a foil.
Oh yeah, I've converted like almost all of my balayage clients over to foils because I'm just like, this is so nice.
Yeah. So you heard it from Meg here at Hair Camp that foils are the future right now. So
foils are forever.
Foils are forever. That's a little trend casting. Okay. That's right. Foils are forever. Well, Meg, it's always such it's an absolute treat to learn from you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I love just that, like your looks and the things that you're teaching us are something that we can all apply, but it's got this signature Meg sort of attitude to your looks. And I love that.
You think so?
Yes, absolutely. Like that shines through for sure. So I love that about whenever we get to learn a technique from you. It's because
I love sharing and I really appreciate you guys having me on here. And I can't wait for April. And if you're watching and you're thinking about going to hair camp, like, please, I want to meet you. I want to hang out with you. I'm so socially awkward, but I promise you I'll talk to you. And it'll be awkward, but we'll hang.
Meg, you're not fair to yourself. She really means that. She really means that. Last year, she was like, she just kind of took care of every camper that was there. So Meg is a phenomenal. She wants to be friends and she wants to teach
Thank
you
you.
everything she knows. So, okay, Meg, 4 months is too long.
It's too long. Yeah, like I think that hair camp should be a month long.
Okay, let's do it. Like almost like a boarding school.
Yeah,
We
like
should
I think it should
start
be,
a
or
boarding-
even like just like maybe 6 months out of the year.
Yeah, 6 months. It's like a sabbatical.
I mean, at least maybe like 5 days.
Okay.
No,
all right.
6 days.
All right. 6 days. Okay.
Well,
Listen.
7.
Okay,
Let's
7.
say 7.
Okay. I'm going to talk to the team. I'm going to see what we can do.
Perfect.
We're going to do a hair camp extended edition. Okay.
Yeah. It just goes by so fast.
It happens so fast. So
It's like Christmas.
hopefully the next 4 months will go by fast and we can be together making beautiful hair and hanging out with all of our hair camp friends. Okay, Meg?
Yes, I'm so excited for the next 4 months.
I know.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, listen, you are incredible. Good luck. I know you guys have
Thank
so
you.
much going on, so much amazing things coming up in 2023 for you, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, some things definitely, but then also, we're manifesting more always.
That's right. Well, we are hoping for all the best for you
Thank
and your
you.
crew up there. Okay, you're amazing. I will see you soon. Thank you for being on
All
here
right,
today, Meg.
bye. Thank you guys.
Have a great rest of your day. Man, hair camp friends are the best freaking friends. We love them so much. They are just incredible. So Meg, thank you for being on here today, learning so much from you about what's happening right now with hair color and where we're pushing it. One of the things that we strive to do is connect you with educators that not only know how to do looks that are classic and teach you the technique behind it, but also like what's coming up. So if you want to look for what's future with hair color, follow Meg, right? She's got so much to offer as far as what's now and it's really wearable, but also what's coming up. I think she bridges that gap. She's a bit of a trend caster there with the work she's doing. So make sure you're following along with her. Hey, we are getting to the end of our time together. We've had the opportunity to work with incredible educators over the years. One of the guys that helped this idea really be realized was a friend of mine. He's one of the owners of Local Honey. He's Andy's boss, who was on here earlier. And he is also the godfather, I believe, of this progressive, textured, punk meets modern cutting styles. His name's Brian Hickman, and he's been a part of the hair camp for the past couple years. We were able to catch up with Brian at Hair Camp 2022 and hang out with him. And so here's an interview from him from that weekend.
I'm Brian Hickman. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I am the creative director and partner of Local Honey. My job is a lot of different things, from recruiting stylists, teaching classes at schools, to helping to improve our staff with refining and advanced education and setting up education. So a lot of different things. I met Sam in 2017 when this was all an idea, and he asked me to be a part. And I said yes, and then it became a reality, and he asked me again, and I said yes. And I loved it last time, just what it does, or who it brings out, I guess, in the industry. And it's just a very laid-back atmosphere where I think community and education come together. You go to most big hair shows, and I think people get dressed up and have a big front, and it becomes natural at events like that. And I think I've always felt uncomfortable at things like that. No matter how long I've been in the industry, it didn't feel like me. This is more like peer-based, community-based. I'm not up on a stage, I'm teaching in front of people. It's interactive, they get to participate, and then we go eat lunch together at the mess hall. So yeah, I think that's the way the industry should be, is we're all peers and we can share with each other and learn from each other. And I do both of those things when I come here. My favorite thing about hair camp is just getting to connect with people, meaning, fellow educators, as well as, like I said, peers in the industry, students. And I think, generally the people that come to this type of thing are in the top 1% of our field. And it's just energizing to be around people that care as much as you do, or as much as I do about what we're doing, and want to continue to grow and better themselves. And that's kind of my, it's a big part of my driving force, is to want to grow. And if I'm not growing, I'm kind of sad.
Hair Camp 2023 is coming up in just a few months. It's happening at the end of April. Listen, if you are on here today, you loved what you've seen, but you're not a part of Hair Camp yet, we've got tickets available now on our website, www.haircamp.co. Get over there today. Tickets are selling fast. Once we hit the new year, I think people were making goals and resolutions, and they said, I want to be better this year. I want Hair Camp to be a part of that. Those tickets started selling. So listen, we want you there with us. We've got a limited amount of tickets. And so what I don't want you to do is miss out on the opportunity to be camping with us at Hair Camp this year. I believe 2023 is about setting a new course. That's what we're going to be doing here at Hair Camp. We're inviting you to be a part of setting a new course. What's next for you this year? Is it your finances that you want to get in order? Do you want to grow as a stylist? Do you want to push yourself to new, more creative places? Do you want to get deeper into your technique or your foundations? Maybe you've lost some of that. Or maybe it's just giving your heart a check and saying, am I okay? Am I showing up the best version of myself? Well, I promise you, if you can say yes to any one of those things, that if you show up at Hair Camp, we're going to lean into that. You're going to walk away not only a better stylist, not only a better creative, not only a better friend, maybe a business owner, maybe a teammate, but you're also going to show up, or you're going to leave Hair Camp a better person. And so that's the invitation is if that's what you want for yourself or your career, and you want to launch a trajectory into realizing dreams, if it's financial dreams, or if it's technical dreams, or if you want to launch a salon or grow a business or grow a clientele or have a dream clientele, I think Hair Camp can be a part of that story in a big way. So this is your invitation, your challenge, your call to action. We want you there. We want you camping with us. We've got levels for tickets, right? We've got levels for all budgets. So if you want to get in at that base level, we've got that for you. If you're looking for a more refined camping experience, we've got that for you as well. Payment plans are also available. The sooner you get those, the better they are for you, because it breaks them down by month. We want to do anything we can to get you there. If you're a group or a salon and you're seeing this video, reach out to us via our website. Shane or Paula want to work with you and make sure that we give you guys the best experience for your team, to make sure that you guys can grow in ways that you didn't even know were possible. Whatever it takes to get you there, let us know. We want to be a part of you being at Hair Camp. Listen, my name is Sam Hills. I am the Hair Camp director. I can't even believe what a privilege it is to sit here today with you and learn and grow and show up and become better through this experience. I cannot wait for April because of the possibility of us hanging out in person. So again, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching today and joining us for our digital bonfire. We'll see you in April.
It's gonna be alright. Yeah. Hold your head high. Yeah. Know that your demons gon' lie. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Day and night. Just let your heart decide what to believe in. When I walk the wrong way, the future I choosing. So tell me what you gon' do. Standing on the edge, you got superpower. Standing on the edge, you're proud of tomorrow. things I'm learning. I'm such a know-it-all.